Hola, 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 mi gente. Let's start this party. What we sipping on, Lily? What we sipping on? I'm jealous.
Just some good old ginger ale.
Oh, never mind.
Virgin ginger ale.
Some damn ginger ale, boy.
Never mind. Well, cheers, doll, cheers.
Oh Lord. Oh yeah, y'all found out that's my addiction in Vegas every night, ginger ale. But it's usually before bed.
Speaking of, yes, we were all in Vegas. Amazing content coming out. I think you guys missed in the my community tab. I posted 4 pictures of us together in Vegas because then after that I posted another picture and y'all were all about that picture. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate you. But I'd like some love on our group picture where I left a little thanks from us to all you guys that watch us and support. Okay. We can't do this without you. And speaking of Vegas, before we get into tonight's festivities, Lily, I know your thing was ginger ale. Let's go around the panel and ask everyone what was everyone's favorite drink. Because we lived together, was it a week and a half? We all lived together a week and a half. So by now, okay, because we claim we all pay attention in relationships and it ain't us, it's them, right? It's never us, it's them. So let's see if we paid attention. What was everyone's favorite drink? Lily already gave hers, ginger ale. We saw Lily with the ginger ale. What was mine? Can anybody guess?
Pepsi. The little can.
Lost her damn mind when I bought a cherry Pepsi in the goddamn motherfucking house, bro. Lost her ever loving mind. Looked at me with the most snobbish motherfucking look I've ever seen.
I was like this. I was like, who's drinking this? Yeah, I like my Pepsi straight.
I just don't know drink water.
No Saint doesn't drink water, which is crazy. Okay. But I know his favorite drink was fuck. I don't know if it's the well, let me see, because I'm a guess, but someone may know more than me. But was it the Pepsi Zero?
Yeah.
No, it was no calorie shit. It was the no sugar
Coke
shit.
Zero.
Coke or Pepsi, I'll take either.
He started with the Pepsi Zero first.
Okay.
And then by the end of the week and a half, it was the Coke Zero. I remember that.
Oh, wow. Okay, because that's what I was like getting them confused, but it was actually, I wasn't blending the two. It actually happened. Okay, cool.
That's how I saw it progress from Pepsi to Coke. And because why the Zero, No Saint?
It's just zero sugar.
Oh,
no calories.
That's right, because you didn't want calories, but you don't drink water either.
And my favorite was the tequila, but I can't. That's expensive.
Oh, no tequila. What kind of tequila was it?
It was Don Julio's.
Don Julio. Can you say it with a Spanish accent? Don Julio.
Don Julio.
There you go. That's better. And Haran.
His was like.
I don't know if it was a favorite drink, but it's what I kept seeing in the fridge. A bag of fruit punch.
Well, no, but he also, that's true. But he also had like a what was it called? It was like a certain kind of, it was juice basically. It was like kind of juice, but I can't remember the name of it now. It was like
Aid.
Oh wait, the Simply.
Simply. There you go.
Simply lemonade.
Mm-hmm.
Simply. He drinks water.
Yeah,
he actually drinks water.
He drinks water. I drink a lot of water, and that poison. I know Pepsi is horrible for you, by the way, but it's my version of coffee. Unfortunately,
I was about to say No Saint and I share coffee. That's our other addiction. No Saint and I drink coffee all day, all night.
Love coffee,
and I don't drink coffee at all. Not at all. Not never. But I will have my No Saint from Starbucks.
Chai latte, vanilla chai latte.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
See, we learned each other in a week and a half. So there's no excuse for you people out here in relationships who have no clue, okay, of what your partner likes. We
It's
learned that in
kind
a
of
week and a half.
easy. Kind of easy. Seems like Latino women like vanilla chai latte.
Oh, we do?
Oh,
Is
so we're
that-
starting our races. We already starting our races tonight.
Well,
Okay.
it was an
I
easy
didn't know
remember
that.
because that's what Erica likes too. So that was really an easy remember.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute now. And here I'm thinking, do you see how men are? Here I'm thinking I'm special. And he remembered. No, it was just more of the same.
I even told her, I said, you're gonna be my Vegas wife out here.
I was the Vegas wife. That's all
what's
it
going- yeah.
was.
Right. And
No.
he got you to Starbucks on the first date. See? Tricky
Yes.
these men are.
Oh my God. And let me tell you, and the nagging, I mean, he's used to the nagging. That's why I didn't phase him. 'Cause I was nagging, okay?
Yeah,
I
you were-
nag.
You were light. Said you were light. Believe me, I've got it.
Shout out to Jen. I'm a good partner. That was light because I thought I was nagging but I was nagging Haran. Haran probably thought I was nagging. You
You
need
always nag.
nagging. You need nagging though.
His nagging work wife.
Okay, you need nagging. Some men need nagging. Don't look at me sideways. You need nagging. Okay. Maybe we have to put like a compilation together. Me saying Haran. Where's Haran? Haran.
Literally. That'll be a whole show.
That'd be a skit.
Haran. Where's Haran? Where's Haran? Speaking of skits, we did do skits, and I should be getting them edited this week if Rob would so kindly grace me with his presence, because he did say this September 2nd or 3rd, and we are on September 1st. So I should be seeing him this week. We got great things coming up regarding the podcast and regarding what happened, Lily?
I'm just saying it's the first already. Goddamn.
Oh, yeah. I was like, you
That's what we
scared me. I'm
doing?
like, it's not. Yeah, that's what we doing. We got a couple months left to 2023. Hopefully everybody's going to 2024 better than they're leaving 2023, right? Every year you should get a little better. You should be making a little bit of progress. You don't have to, you know what I mean, climb Mount Everest in 12 months, but you really should be going into the new year like, I'm better in this department. Something. Yeah, it's got to be something, guys. It got to be the one thing. You can't just go into the new year same old same, right? Or it was a wasted 12 months. Sorry. Kari said, Jen is almost my twin, Pepsi and vanilla chai. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm all about the Pepsi and vanilla chai. And Lily's hair is looking fly tonight. Shout out to the panel and chat. Shout out to you as well, Moxie. So I did put out the word tonight for ladies to come on up. I can't do anything once we calm down, then the show is over. I saw, some spicy opinions on our show from yesterday, but the show was spicy, right? Who Ruined the Image of Black Women Part 2 tonight. We had Part 1, but it was really, really good. The block had a short night last night, so we wanted to come back and give you Part 2. I have a couple different angles, to look at this situation. And I do want to replay the woman that we played yesterday for anyone who wasn't here yesterday. It's just a quick clip of what she feels the image of Black women, what direction is going with rappers like Sexy Red and Sukihana. Sukihana, she's the rapper with that god-awful BBL. She looks like very much like Tracy Morgan in the face to me. Every time I look at that woman, I see Tracy Morgan. Every time I see Tracy Morgan in the wig. That's who she reminds me of, very much Tracy Morgan. So she is also a porn actress on OnlyFans, and not a porn actress light. She's like, she does porn on OnlyFans, straight up porn. And she's a rapper, and she's rapped with her completely topless. She's also gotten her butt ate on stage as well when her fans jumped up on stage and ate her butt live on stage. And then you guys know Sexy Red is on the flyer from yesterday. She's a rapper. So we're going to get into this. George says, Jen, you were nagging No Saint Haran about how they dress, comment on their shoes. I don't really much remember the shoes other than just regular sneakers. So I didn't see anything wrong with the shoes, to be honest.
Ooh, is that an echo?
No,
Can you?
we
Okay, that's just on my end then. Can I just throw something out before we get into the topic?
fuck yeah.
All right, yeah. This is just really quick. So today, you remember the January 6th rioter that had the police shield and he bashed through the window of the White House, tell everybody, and he was the one that was just bashing in. There was one of the
The
main ones.
Capitol.
Yeah, the Capitol. No, sorry,
Yeah.
not the White, the Capitol. He was bashing into the side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was part of the Proud Boys. This is why when you hear people in front of the judge and they're pleading their case, don't believe them. Don't believe what they're saying. They're just trying to get a lesser sentence. He was up there weeping and saying how he was a changed man and he made mistakes. And then the judge gave him 18 years. And as he went out, he threw his fist in the air and said, Trump won.
Yeah, absolutely. And he said, I did read the little sob story that he was giving in court. He was saying, I'm not a terrorist. I made a mistake that day, and but I'm not a terrorist. And then on his way to the back, he was like, yeah, fuck off, everybody. I mean, at that point, might as well stick to your guns. I don't much believe those I regret little soliloquies that happen in court anyway. 9 times out of 10, it's BS. They try to pretend that they're remorseful, and you can see right through it. I'm an Oxhaw, so it's very easy for me to and a lot of them do the dry cry. It's what I call the dry cry, which is where and I always tell my other actors or people that I'm working with, like, pick another emotion. Like, human beings automatically think sadness should entail tears, right? We think, well, like when you ask a little kid, right? You say, make a sad face, right? So adults automatically in their mind, you're like, make a sad face, right? But sadness comes in many different forms. You can be stoic, right? You can be depressed. You can be angry. Grief comes in a lot of different forms. So I always tell actors, if you can't cry on cue, please pick another emotion. Please pick another emotion. So when these people are in court, they always give us the dry cry. I didn't mean it, but they're doing this. Their nose isn't leaking. Their eyes are dry, and that's why I call it the dry cry, because they give you this. They scrunch up their face, and they're like, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to kill him. And it's like, and we're waiting, and the tear ducts are the desert, right? But their faces are screwed up. So I always say, pick another emotion if you must.
You better off cracking your voice. You better off making it sound like your voice is cracking.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually learned that from Michael T. Williamson, who trained me during the week that he listen, I got to plug this a little bit, okay? Because they're not net, we got to brag, okay? But Michael T. Williamson was in New York City with Denzel Washington and Viola Davis, and they were doing Fences off Broadway, and Michael T. Williamson picked, I think, like 5 or 6 actors to work with one-on-one, and I was one of them. So during his stay in New York, while he was doing that, in between his rehearsal and shows at Fences with Denzel and Viola, him and I would meet up at a studio in Manhattan on Times Square, and he taught me a couple things, and he taught me, like lifelong lasting lessons about acting. I only had a week with him. And he was teaching me how, when you're going through something, it's not just the one emotion. It's not the show of I'm angry or mad or sinister. Or he was telling me how gangsters, a lot of people play them and he didn't use his name. I'm using this name for the record before y'all go, oh, he said something about Ice Cube. But you know how Ice Cube delivers every single line with his face twisted up? Right? Mm-hmm. Like every single line, what you talking about? Right? That's Ice Cube, every single line. So he was saying when people play gangsters, they play it like, I'm mean, I'm angry, I'll kill you. And it's much more impactful. You just walk up to somebody, you say it very slowly, you point at them and say, you shouldn't have did that, right? And because it's more sinister, it's scarier, because it's like, what is he going to do after he says that? Versus, I'm going to kill you for doing that, right? That's expected. But when someone's sinister, it's really slow and deep. So I was like, that's so fucking true. It is more scary.
What's amazing about what you just said? Immediately, I'm thinking about, and you're going to know the scene that I'm talking about. Immediately, I'm thinking about the scene when Bane and that other dude was talking shit. and he thought he had shit under control. He was like, "Nobody leave, I'm in charge." And then Bane lightly put his hand on his shoulder and said, "Do you feel in charge?" And then all of a sudden, everybody in the whole theater was like, "Oh shit!"
I love it. Don't listen. Don't get me down that because listen, I'm like you with the music. Okay, don't get me down that road.
Oh yeah, I know. You go on and on about acting. I know.
No, you know I'm obsessed. I'll start talking about scenes and shit. But
yeah, I think Jen, I think what you're talking about, the person that acts that way is more viewed because that's what a sociopath would do. He wouldn't have the emotions. So that's even like scarier because you're like, well, he's not getting emotion. He's just thinking about what he's gonna do.
Correct.
Yeah, but what I'm happy about is I'm happy because I've seen trials where someone gets up and they look remorseful and they're crying, and if it's the jury or someone who's never met this person, it might play on your sympathetic side. A judge has seen it almost every time. Every time he sees the same thing. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, you're sorry. Here you go. Here, you can be sorry. You're gonna still pay for it. A judge doesn't get swayed. So
yeah, and the way I dissect people when they're being emotional, I just sit there and I watch. Like, I can tell I'm not the girl you want on the jury for real. I am not she, right? I'm not the girl you want on the jury because I'm gonna look at it very plainly for what it is. But people, they pick juries according to what they experienced. Right? What have you experienced in your life? Oh, this is gonna be a great juror for the prosecution or the defense or whatever. But yeah, that guy, I was shocked that he got that much time. But the funny thing is, No Saint, great fluff, by the way. The funny thing is that they don't blast that everywhere, right? Because we hear a lot, speaking of race, we hear a lot like, oh, and such, when they do something, nothing happens. 18 years is a long fucking time, right? But that's not plastered everywhere, and it should be because it makes it sets an example. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to act a monkey ass fool and run up in the Capitol? Take these 18 years. Sit down for 18 years.
Well, and they wanted more. They wanted more. Go ahead.
Do you think he got that much time because he was gay?
He's gay?
I mean, is he a Proud Boy? Is that like that fun bar?
I said the plot thickens. He's gay.
You all were like.
I said, all right. Well, Lily, if he wasn't gay before, 18 years.
Oh yeah, we talked about that, right, Jay? After the 20-year mark, it's like you don't ask no questions when the motherfucker get out.
Oh, nice. You give him 20 years.
Right. And Lily said 3 months, baby.
You real nice.
I don't know. I think that in what you're saying, like, they wanted more. The prosecution wanted more. I'm not saying that it's a light sentence, but they were trying to get more for a lot of these guys. But that's a long time. But what I'm in, someone like that, okay, I don't feel sorry for any of them that got any time, but I do think there is a distinction between Proud Boys, these people that are and the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys who are in these organizations that are looking for, to overthrow the government or looking for, and there are some people who got caught up and they had no idea that they would go to jail. It didn't even cross their mind that they were doing anything illegal. That's what was crazy. They were just like following the crowd. They go in there, they're videotaping. I mean, but if they get what they get, you know what I'm saying? They broke the law. There's no leniency for those type of things. But I think some of that has to do with they dare I say, some white privilege was going on there.
Dare you say, No Saint? Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. That's always the case. What's up, Just Andrea? Oh my God, I'm seeing this comment late. Not sure if you're still watching, but hello, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, guys. Tawana G, stop playing. What's up, Mama? I hope you and the babies and the family are well. Good to see you, Mama. All right, you guys. So welcome to Friday Night on the Block with Jen. You know, you can reach me on all social media platforms, specifically TikTok and IG, on the Block with Jen, and on the Block with Jen at Gmail if you want to reach out to me for business collaborations, topic suggestions, and what have you. If you want to support the show and help Mama keep the street lights on the block on, by all means, cash app me. Big shout out to everyone who cash apps me after the show because they caught the replay. It is scrolling on the bottom. Cash app on the Block with Jen as well. I am very easy to find, darling. I am here. Lily, let the people know where to find you so we could jump right into this. Welcome everyone in the room. Please hit that like for Mama. How you doing, OG Patrice?
All right. I am actor, model Lily Washington. You can find me at YB Limited. That's the letter Y, the letter B, the word limited. And you can find me here on YouTube as well as Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Musician and music producer Heron DeMarco. You can catch me on YouTube on the Heron.DeMarco. You can catch me on IG as Dangerous DeMarco, and you can catch me as Heron DeMarco under Apple Music and Spotify.
I am Saint. I'm No Saint. I'm Saint No Saint on YouTube, on IG. Just No Saint on TikTok. Please follow me on YouTube. Channel making great strides. We're doing some independent shows with Heron. Sometimes we'll bring other people up. Appreciate all the support. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and I want to welcome again, guys. Hit that like for me. And I want to remind everybody that Heron he's a musician. He has music going on his channel daily. No Saint is doing great with his channel. He does, like he said, independent shows where it's just the fellas without the ladies. It's a really good show. And I mean that genuinely. I peek in and I watch, and it's some real, just some real decent, real man talk, right? Without the propaganda, the bullshit, or the woman hating. It's a really great channel. You feel like a little fly on the wall. And I don't get in there because it's too much testosterone and I don't want to grow a beard after coming up. So I let the boys do what they do. Okay. And Lily does makeup toots on her channel. I shared the recent one on my community tab. So we all really got, a lot of stuff going on. That's why I stress you have to follow and subscribe to all of us, okay? Because there's always something juicy going on. And if one of us isn't on, you'll get action from somebody else, and action from somebody else. Pause. But you'll like it. All right, guys. So please follow the team. And tonight's topic, everyone is welcome on tonight. You guys know you can come up behind your avatar, but throw some chips into a super chat, okay? There is a fee. I didn't say there was a set fee, but, it's disrespectful to pull up to the block behind an avatar, but I'm okay. I can overlook it. Throw me some chips into a super chat and we'll let you up behind the avatar. Understand? The ladies, sometimes I don't want to show my face. That's good. The fellas, sometimes they don't have a shape up, beard jacked up. Come up behind your avatar, but throw some chips at us in the chat, or come up for free, show your face. So tonight's topic is part 2 of last night. Who ruined the image of Black women, part 2. Who ruined the image of Black women, part 2. Last night was super, super good. Great. Excellent dialogue last night. So we're going to have a part 2 tonight. Hopefully we can hit it from different angles. Okay. So basically the question was, who ruined the image of Black women, Black men, media, hip hop, or themselves? Okay. And the comments were pretty interesting. Some people were saying all of the above. Some people were saying they did it to themselves. I didn't see a lot of blame, if any, put on men, aside from people that were saying all of the above, right? But I usually saw, and I wasn't surprised. Most of the comments were like, women did it. They did that to themselves. They did that to themselves. And Tristan says it's the NOI's fault.
He's blaming everything on NOI.
Hey, listen. All opinions are welcome here.
Right.
So let's get this party started. I did want to start with the video of the woman yesterday that was talking about the image of Sukihana and Sexy Red. Before I pass the mic, let's take a look at what this woman said, which I agree with, of course, and I was glad to hear her say it. Just to bring you up to speed, guys. We already saw this clip, but just to bring all the new heads in the room up to speed. Okay. So you're not like, what are they talking about? Again, everybody's welcome up to the panel. Talk your jazz.
You cannot convince me otherwise that Sexy Red is not an industry plant that was put here to help finalize the destroying of the black woman image. They was already had us under attack, and she was here to just finalize the process. The way they trying to force her on us is just crazy. Like, I wanted to go see Drake, but once I found out Drake had her opening for him, absolutely not. Absolutely not am I going to support anything that thing is behind. I'm not supporting it, right? This is the reason why it's time to separate. It's time to separate as black women, because ain't no way I'm about to be associated with that and Suki Stankiana. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I don't care how you feel. I don't care how you feel. At this point, separation has to happen. It's one thing to make trashy music. That is a different level of trash.
Can we take note if that woman had no makeup on and looked gorgeous?
You took the words out of my mouth. I was really about to say, like, why didn't I notice how pretty she was yesterday?
Right. Superficial
Well,
note.
it's funny that you guys noticed that. I mean, yes, she's very beautiful. What I noticed that I didn't really think about yesterday is, like, if you got to listen to people, she kind of mixes facts with like conspiracies. Like, I'm not sure who she's talking about when she says they are forcing this on us. They are planting people. They. It's a little bit of a. It was interesting.
Mhm.
I just thought that was interesting.
Well, I know what she means, because I think a couple of people touched on it last night, basically blaming the industry. And we touched on that. We filled in on that.
I get what you're saying, but they can't force anything that you're not willing to go and pay for.
Right, and that's what I said. It's choice.
So when you say they, you need to really be saying the people that you want to separate from, I guess, because she doesn't want to be. She's not the one buying the material. But
well, let me ask you, Saint. Do you think that do you think that there are any agendas targeting people of color? Or do you think that's a complete myth? Because a lot of us, when we talk about different things, we say they, right? But great question. Who is the they?
mm-hmm.
Right? We use that a lot. We use them, they, that. Well, you know what they, and them over there. So do you not think that there's ever any targeting happening to people of color specifically?
There's history. There's definitely history of that happening.
And
but it doesn't mean there's a blanket. There's just, you can just throw they out there without having things to back it up. And when she's saying they, my whole thing is this: if people are making millions of dollars, they're going to give you whatever you want. If that's not selling, they would change it to whatever positive message you want if you're going to buy the positive message. That's my point. It's like they has to include the people that are buying the music too.
Oh, I see. Okay. So you're saying it's a collective. It's not just the people that are pumping it out. It's the people that are also consuming it.
Well, you can pump out. Listen, there's people that pump out, try to have, some kind of Christian music. They try to, and they're not selling as much as the people that are selling Metallica. So what I'm saying is, if there's a market for whatever message she wants, they will put that out. Whoever they are will put that out.
So now we're really going down the rabbit hole, because what you're saying essentially then is that there's a huge glitch in that community that's consuming that music because they want to consume that music.
Basically, nobody's being based on what I'm saying is nobody. Yeah, it's for sure. Nobody's being forced to buy that. That message is actually, all these messages in movies anywhere is being sold because it makes money. And if it didn't, it wouldn't be put out there.
Well, Tawana G is co-signing your point. She's saying, I don't believe in a they. Okay. Haran?
To his point, yeah, he's correct. I mean, there's a Rhapsody nobody shows up for. There's a Scarlett. Whether or not you like her or not, she's still an option. And I've seen women drag her ass talking about she's too aggressive. Talking about she ain't, she basically ain't like the other girls right now. So there's accountability. There's an accountability discussion right now that we just keep dodging. Because it's like, let's ignore what happened in the past. You have the stage now. You have the world looking at you now, and you chose to be a whole hoe. You chose to double down on some hoe shit. So whose fault is it? How's it my fault? At what point in time do you behave like an adult and make this adult decisions? It's not. It can't always be the fault of someone else. You have the opportunity right now to shape the image of Black women in the shape that you want, but the demand for the antithesis of what's going on right now isn't strong.
Okay. Thank you for the super chat, Black Lexicon. Black Lexicon says, I tried to surprise you with this super chat last night at the last second, but you closed the chat down so fast before it went through. Well, honey, money is never late. Thank you for that.
I was about to say that.
It is never
So,
late,
Money
honey.
always on time.
Thank
so
you.
I often think about stuff like this, right? When it comes to the Black community and all the stuff that goes on, right? And we know, and like with No saying, I was like, do you think they stopped? Right? Because I've even asked myself this, because yes, we know we got the historical references of things that have been done to Black people, right?
Mhm.
But then at some point, I stopped entertaining that, right? I stopped entertaining it because I felt like at some point it's like we took over, and I'm like, damn, we're doing a better job at eliminating us than like KKK. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I look at it sometimes. I'd be like, if I was a KKK, I would sit back and be like, "Oop, I ain't got to get my hands dirty anymore. I just sit back and watch the fire." It's like sometimes I feel like it's like the fire was set or something, and then we kind of took over and added lighter fluid to it, right? So am I saying it stopped? Like whatever they or conspiracy, I don't know. Like I said, I stopped even entertaining it because at some point I was like, okay, the responsibility has to fall on the community or Black people or Black women, Black men, because I just look at things that are done on a daily basis, and these are choices. These are just choices that humans are making, right? At the end of the day.
Here's a problem that's often happening, and I've said this before, and I see it. This is a human thing. This is race agnostic, and I see it a lot in the Black community. When it's a win and when it's everything that you've gained that's positive, it's always you did this, you or the grace of God or whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's always you do this. Whenever you ain't where you need to be in life, there's always a they. Whenever there's some monkey being thrown in the wrench, it's always a they. It's always a they who, like they, like, you know what I mean? Some boogeyman, and if you don't subscribe to that, you're preaching some form of anti-Blackness. And no, you have to come, you have to revisit your thinking and understand that you're responsible for what you get and what you lose in life. And that's a huge undertaking to take on, but it's the kind of undertaking that leads to a life well fulfilled. You're constantly worrying about they are always going to have power over you.
Okay, so let me ask this, right? Because what we not fitting to do is let Whitey off the hook on tonight. Okay, that's what we not fitting to do here on the blog. So let me ask, who was the they when Trump was telling his flying monkeys they stole the vote, they took the vote, they don't want us to win? Who was there they? I'm just curious. Who was there they? Because that word flew around. That word flew around a lot.
The liberals, the no saints of the world. They hate them, some fucking liberals, some nigga lovers, and those who are who are not against immigration and so on and so forth. Yeah, the Democrats. That's the they. That's the deep state. The deep state is their they. What I mean?
So, okay. Do you think that those they, the liberals, the no saints, do you think they have power?
Do I think they have power? They have about as much power as I give them, me personally. Both sides have power, but they have about as much power as you give them personally, because guess what? No matter what they choose to do, I still got bills in the morning, man. I still got shit to do. So they don't have full autonomy over my life. Now, of course, can they create some systems and create some policies that will inconvenience me based on my tax bracket? Absolutely. However, are they the end all and be all in terms of all the decisions that I make in my life? I you know what I mean? No, that's not how I move.
Do you think that someone needs? Okay, great. Okay. Do you think that someone needs full autonomy over you to cause damage or to make change?
I don't think someone needs full autonomy. No, not at all. But what I'm saying is that I get from a number of these people that their thinking is that these people have full autonomy over them. They have no decisions. They have no control over their lives. And if you can, that is the essence of victimhood. That is the essence of victimhood. When you feel that you have no decisions to make. And it's like, no, partner, we ain't doing that. Yeah, you know what I mean? There's laws and certain so forth. Yeah, are there ceilings? Absolutely. But can I still get a bag out here? You goddamn right. I could get a motherfucking bag out here.
So then regarding January 6th, you don't think that the they were talking about and the they Trump was talking about himself, they didn't exist. There's no they, right? No, Saint? Because you said.
As far as what he thinks there's a they. He thinks he thinks there's a deep state. He thinks there's a conspiracy, or at least he's getting his people to believe what they already believe on the fringe, which the fringe doesn't mean a limited amount of people, because in this case, the fringe is growing. But they believe that there was this conspiracy, and there were the radical left or the deep state, and then of course they targeted all the majority black cities, saying that the cheating was there. The cheating was in Atlanta. The cheating was in Detroit. The cheating was in on the east side.
Okay,
anyway.
but in general, you don't believe that there's a they. You think Trump was lying, and those people are just bugging out and felt rebellious and want to jump up in the Capitol. You don't think that there's a they on either side.
Wait. Okay, we're talking about. He's talking about who was Trump talking about when he said they?
Right.
He was talking about now the people that went into the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
You're asking like who were they?
No, I'm asking. No. It's real simple. No. It's real simple. Trump was saying they stole the vote. The people that stormed the Capitol believed that there was a they. I'm simply asking you, do you believe that there's a they? What they was Trump talking about? That was the question. What they was Trump talking about?
Yeah, he was talking about the Democrats and the liberals and the deep state. And
okay, so they exist. They're real. They're tangible people.
No, I don't believe the deep state is a real thing. That's a conspiracy.
Okay. I don't think that's a conspiracy. I don't look. Listen.
No. Okay.
No, I don't think it's a conspiracy. You know what I mean? There are hierarchies in this motherfucker. But you know what I mean? It's not necessarily sitting here saying that the motherfucker like the high head honcho or the high fucking water buffalo in the deep state ain't worrying about Heron, okay? All right. Now is he putting in some fucking situations that might, ding me along the way that I gotta maybe maneuver around and so on and so forth? Absolutely. But is he the end all be all to my life? No, man. No. But no, that motherfucker's there though. We're not gonna act like.
But I think that and he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that No Saint thinks the world moves around the vote. That's the only power in the country.
In our honest government. In our honest government.
Right, our honest government who never cheats and the vote.
Yes.
That is how the country works.
Deep state with no secrets and lies, none of that. No.
But
you know what this is reminding me of though? This is kind of reminding me of so a person who's come in recovery, like this kind of brought me back to something I used to hear a lot. People that are recovering addicts or whatever, they always they'll ponder, they'll wreck their brain trying to figure out, how did I become an addict? Like, how did I get here? Is it hereditary? Is it because my mama with me? Is it because my boyfriend gave me that weed when I was 14? They just wreck their brain, right? Of trying to figure out what the source of their addiction is, right? But the answer, it's null and void because we're here today, right? So yes, it could be whitey, it could be this, it could be that, and it is, right? At the same time, we're here now, today. And I feel like the today problem is now our problem, right? Because it's the same thing with me when I finally had to get clean. I could have traced down my DNA to see, oh, it came from my father. Okay, what the fuck? I still got to take responsibility for my shit. My father can't get clean for me. So, I think that it's a us problem as far as the consumers, as far as pretty much everybody that's on that damn thumbnail, really.
Mm, mm.
I'll say,
Okay.
as
Well,
we said
Kari,
before,
Kari,
right, go ahead.
get Kari agrees. He says they feed what we consume, so society feeds itself bullshit. They is really us as consumers. That is.
Look,
And Moxie wants No Saint to know he's smoking on that Pollyanna pack tonight.
Look, listen, No Saint, we said this before, and I've said it rather. This is not a democracy. This is a constitutional republic. This is a fact. Okay?
But No Saint disagrees with that.
He can disagree.
I don't disagree. No, it's a republic,
okay.
but it's a representative republic. It's not a direct democracy, but I've never argued that.
No Saint. It's either a democracy or it isn't.
It's not a direct. No, it's got document democracy characteristics.
Democracy overlays.
It's a republic.
Democracy overlays.
No Saint. I got Spanish characteristics. I'm not Spanish. Okay, so this is call it what it is. Okay,
we don't know. You haven't taken your DNA test yet.
Okay, I'm not from the Dominican Republic. I got kind of DR features. Okay, it is or it isn't.
Interesting. All right. So, George Porgy, how are you, George, this evening? Says, No Saint, the government lied to us for decades about UFOs. There was a coordinated effort to suppress this truth. That doesn't at least hint to you there is some kind of deep state mechanism at work?
Jesus Christ.
No UFOs for you, No Saint?
No, it's like when people hear UFOs, I don't know. It seems like George is automatically thinking this is something from outer space, from some galaxy far, far away. UFO means unidentified flying object. Mm-hmm. And when they say it had non-human, this one guy who's probably going to write a book, but it had non-human material, body or whatever. Okay. They flew dogs into space. That's non-human. I mean, they've taken animals. They put monkeys into space. That's non-human. So just because you're saying they're coming out and they don't listen, there are things out there flying that the jet pilots, I say, I don't know what that is. I believe they don't know what it is because there's top secret stuff that they're not handing it out to pilots. There's a ton of things pilots don't know that are out there. So,
oh my God,
yeah,
that's
a fact. Wait.
I'm just saying it's simple mathematics, right? So look, we got 100 million billion trillion UFO sightings and videos and classified documents and unclassified documents. If 1% of that shit is right, then that means it exists. It's just
what means what exists though. It means what exists.
Something that we're not privy to.
I never said that you're not. There's something that you're not privy to. There's a ton of stuff we're not privy to. I'm saying even if there's less than 1%, that doesn't mean even if there's a 1%, doesn't mean it's some place from a different, million light years away that's somehow getting here and not messing with us and just showing up in the skies. That's all I'm saying. Like people are looking for proof. People are looking for proof. Yeah, because people used to look up and see things all the time and not have it under. People thought lightning was from God, thunder was from God. I mean, there's a lot of things they couldn't explain back in time. I never go. I don't want to say this to be disrespectful. I don't think because I don't look backwards and think that that's concrete. You know what I'm saying? Like the very first civilizations had the knowledge somehow that we don't have today. They might have had some things they knew that we don't know today.
They were,
But when it comes to space, it's not like they had it figured out. I can tell you that because most people thought that place was flat, the Earth was flat, and we rotated.
But
The
people
sun
don't
rotated
even
around
know.
us.
People
I
don't even know
know.
how to. People don't even know how the pyramids came to be. So they had a
right.
lot of
That's what I'm
knowledge.
saying.
They had a lot of knowledge we didn't have. A lot.
Like they were
Well,
way smarter back then than we are
they
now.
don't know exactly, but they've have ideas of how
They can't do it though.
mechanics and stuff like. Okay. All right, that's like me saying they couldn't. Well, I'm not going to get into that. That's going way off into the weeds anyway.
They had mechanics, but not like obviously they didn't have mechanics like we have today, like forklifts and tow trucks and
right.
cranes and stuff like that. So it is pretty phenomenal.
No, it's amazing. Listen, that's what I've always said. I'm not diminishing what people thousands of years ago did without the advantages that we have today. It's amazing the technology they had for what they knew back then. So yeah, I'm not trying to crap on anything that those people did, because guess what? If most of us lost the knowledge, we wouldn't know how to do the stuff we know that they do today. You know what I mean?
Yo, George throwing haymakers at you in the chat, homie.
Who is?
George.
George
want all the smoke tonight. George wants all the smoke tonight.
Whatever. I listen. I'm not believing in that UFOs are flying from other galaxies. That's the problem. People want to believe something, or they already have. Aliens are real. UFO. I'm not. First of all, I believe that there's life in other. I have no proof. I believe there's life in other galaxies. I think probability.
So you think we're the smartest idiots in the galaxy, right?
I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that.
We're definitely
what you're saying.
No, I'm not. I said I believe that there's life. The probability of there being life in other places is very probable. All I'm saying is,
but we're the smartest ones.
People want to believe it, and all of a sudden, there's one person that sees a light in the sky that's a pilot, and there it is. That's enough to convince them, and that's not enough to convince me. Just not.
All right, but going back to what she said I know you said that she's throwing in whatever her opinion with conspiracy. I don't. I can't ask her. I don't know her. However, I don't think that she meant they in terms of a conspiracy. I think she meant they as far as, the record labels are pushing it, that they is the actual rappers themselves, right? So when she said they, I don't automatically jump to, she's talking conspiracies. No, she's probably talking about the rappers themselves. She's probably talking about the labels that are partaking. She's probably talking about social media. All of that is factual because the rappers are participating. Social media pushes it in the algorithm. They're not going to push a Rhapsody. Okay, they're not going to do it. But that aside, when I said I don't want to let anyone off the hook, when we think about, we can, and Lily, you sound just like my attorney. He's always like, this is today. What are we doing today about what happened yesterday? We're here. He talks just like that. And I love it. However, when we look at, bring out the Black Power fist for a couple seconds, but we look at hundreds of years of conditioning, right? I always said there's not going to be any healing. We need maybe another 500 years. You know how they say when you get out of a real bad relationship, and this is a myth, but I like it. When you get out of a real bad relationship, let's say it lasted 2 years, you need 2 years to recover. I always put that like on what happened in this country. I'm like, no, we're going to need like 500 years of healing. We can't just, we can't quit from in 1950, getting hosed down in 1950 and 1960. And all of a sudden in 2023, everybody's healed and there's no racism. It's going to take, in my opinion, centuries. Just like everyone was enslaved for centuries. That's how I feel about it. So I'm like, are we just going to completely ignore the conditioning of an entire people, the psychological and physical conditioning of a people? Now, remember, people were arguing me down. Okay, I remember a couple months back that slavery DNA, we now carry it. The trauma, it's genetic, right? We're like pit bulls, like the bloodline is fucked. So now all of a sudden, that doesn't matter. It's no longer in the DNA. Is that what we're saying on today?
Let me ask you a question, Jay. You and I have a militant background.
Yeah, so, I quit though. I put up my combat boots.
Absolutely.
With good reason, as you can see.
with that being said, let's entertain the idea of being subjugated, the idea of being victimized. Could we consider that a number of us are fine with that, while only a minority of us actually want actual change? Because for a number of us, I truly feel that if all of this was just to disappear tomorrow, and we had everything that we needed, whatever that looks like, whatever freedom in America looks like for Black people, whether it's reparations, I don't know what the fuck is. Every fucking week it's something different. Let's just say everybody gets whatever they fucking want, and everyone who's agreed to be Black gets it. Fuck it. What does that look like Monday morning? Okay, you got everything you wanted now. It's up to you. We gave you everything. Now, flash bang, boom. You have all of the materials that you need to compete with everyone else. You got all this shit. Fuck it. Let's just give everybody their 40 acres and a mule, whatever it is. We gave it to you. What does that look like if a whole bunch of Black people no longer can complain?
I mean, we know what it's going to look like, but I don't think we know what it's going to look like, right? Fuck ups are going to be fuck ups no matter what you give them. You know what I mean? But I don't think that's race specific. Like, I can go to a trailer park and give everybody $1 million. It's going to be,
Right.
you know, mass overdoses. It's going to be mass overdoses, right? Some people, they're inclined to like just be fuck ups, right? So yes,
But now
I
to go back
agree
to
with
the
you. I
issue.
know where you're. No, I know where you're going. I know where you're going.
Okay. Okay.
However, in my opinion, like, the conditioning is there. Some people are damaged beyond repair. Obviously,
Right.
I don't know any woman or man that could listen to the lyrics I read yesterday and think that that's entertainment and something's not wrong with them. Something is wrong with you if you can hear those lyrics and dance to it, repeat them at the top of your lungs, and you know, clap, and that's your anthem song. Something is mentally wrong with you, and that's why I wanted to read the lyrics out loud yesterday, because it's not about, you know, I understand every generation kind of like the new music is like, it's cringe, but this is beyond that. This is beyond that. So what happened? What is going on? There is something going on. We can't pretend it isn't. We can't pretend that social media doesn't have everybody programmed for addiction. I watched the freaking Netflix Social Dilemma. There are people in high places at these Yahoos and Facebooks and X and whatever, and they're literally creating programs to keep you and your children online. Do you not believe that,
Right.
No Saint?
So
So the people that break free are outliers?
So wait a minute. So No Saint, the
Talk to me.
people. So the people, when I watch the Social Dilemma and other dark web, whatever, and they have whistleblowers at Yahoo and Facebook, and they were like, "Look, I'm the guy who had the program, you know what I mean, keeping these kids on it." Do you think that they is real, or no? That they
No, those guys are real.
Oh.
Those guys are real.
So I'm going to answer your question, right? And kind of going back to my original question. I'm glad you asked that question, because it can further prove my point, right? So back to comparing it to addiction, right? Because there is some type of addiction going on. There is, and I do believe in the DNA situation when it comes to the Black trauma as well as addiction, right? That's been proven that people can pass that addiction gene on, right? So it's the same thing with addicts that finally decide to get clean, right? Whether it was passed down through their DNA or not, they decide to get clean, then they know, oh shit, this is a part of my DNA, and this particular thing can activate that in my DNA. I need to do something different, right? So that's pretty much my story. I know if I touch anything, it's back off to the races. I don't have control over that anymore, right? It takes over. But so with this, it's kind of like the same situation, right? They do monetize. I mean, yeah, we see it all the time. People monetize off of people's Black trauma and Black pain and all of that stuff. and I can kind of correlate it with the whole addiction of like activating that black trauma from the passed down DNA stuff. But then after a while, it still falls on you. You have to get sick and tired of being sick and tired and do something different, regardless of how it got passed down, no matter how we got here. Eventually, in order for anybody, whether it's a group or an individual. But the thing I'm thinking about too is the whole thing I'm saying is just talking about ownership and accountability. Do you know how hard it is to have one individual take ownership for their shit? So to get a group to take ownership is damn near impossible. like seriously. So yeah.
Do you think that the country, right, is too hard on Black women? The country. And when I say the country, I mean media, social
Oh yes.
media, music,
Yeah.
fashion. Do you think that they're too hard on Black women?
I do think that exists as well, but I also think images like this and volunteering for images like this do not help the plight. I feel like they're hard on trans women, right? So I do what I can not to add to the things that make it hard on trans women. I take my ownership for my part in the situation. That's all I can really do, right? So yeah, we have a sector of women who do that, and we have a sector of women who add to that, hence the separation.
I knew something was going to happen, and I'm reading the chat. A lot of the guys are being real easy on the women tonight. You're not as easy on the women when you bring up the narrative that the government colluded with them to kick the Black men out of the house, though. You're very hard on Black women when it comes to that narrative, though. But for some strange reason, you just can't wrap your head around the points that I'm making tonight. But when you lose, all of a sudden, you get it. I just wanted to really point that out. He's calling me thick.
Tristan.
Is this a gay man?
Tristan. I don't know. Tristan says, I haven't heard this song, but I think it's just a colorism thing because if Cardi B rapped it, it would be on the radio if that still exists. No, Tristan, it's a hit song and she's opening for Drake on tour. It's a hit song. So she's right now, she's more popular than Cardi B. Cardi B is off somewhere having children, pushing babies out. And no, so it's very popular. She literally will be opening for Drake on tour. And Drake posted a picture kissing her on the cheek. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like going back to people, because everybody always wants
Somebody needs the link. Somebody needs the link.
Yeah, sure. Give them some, throw the link up.
Yeah, I figure somebody might want to get in here. So
yeah, people
I dropped the link. I usually ask. I dropped the link if you guys want to.
Yeah, people are always bringing up what music was back in the day. And yes, we did have this type of music back in the day. I don't think any of us on this panel is not saying that. What we're saying is that there is no balance anymore. We had so many different types of hip hop back in the day. Now, if you
I don't understand. Can somebody elaborate? What the fuck does earthbound mean? Is that something that's going past my head?
He's just a troll. He's just a troll. He's just a troll.
Oh, I didn't know what I'm sincerely not knowing what the fuck earthbound means. I don't know. We're on Earth, so how can something be? We're already here. I don't know what that means. I don't know what earthbound is. That like Hotep talk? I don't know what that means.
This person's all over the place.
I'm like, what do you mean earthbound? Like, are we on another planet? Like, and it's coming? I don't know. I don't know what that means, but maybe they'll explain. What were you saying, Lily? I'm sorry.
So yeah, it's the lack of balance with the music or whatever. I know what I was gonna say. Like right now, you can't tell the difference between hip hop rappers and R&B singers, like the females in both, and the strippers. They all look the same. The strippers, the hip hop, female hip hopper like rappers, and the female R&B singers. They all look the same at this point. That wasn't the case back in the day. It was a clear distinction between those three groups. So it's just a lack of balance and the hoism being pushed as a monolith for the image of Black women.
Right, because Kari was like, "Hey, no, wait, I
They
I
always
listened
do
to
that.
Snoop Dogg. I listened to Snoop Dogg and those lyrics and Two Live Crew and blah blah blah." But again, I feel like Lily and I'm sure a lot of other people, we did have balance. There was such a variety of music, right? Where if we wanted to listen, I was like, oh, we listen for a little while and then we go back to
You're
what it
right.
is we like. We don't really see that now. Now it's like a saturation of filth. And I think that's what we're talking about. Because I loved me some Pop Smoke. You know what I mean? I like trap music. So it wasn't even that I listen along with my daughter. I love it just because, I mean, that's our core. Hip hop is our core anyway. So we appreciate generation after generation of hip hop. I've never been the type to be like, oh, back in my day, I just love hip hop. But the shit that we're seeing now and the saturation of it is what I have an issue with because it's grotesque. It's honestly grotesque.
And not only that, are we ignoring the fact that the music was actually fucking good? It wasn't just shock value with no talent and no real lyrics. Like I just remember sitting and listening to hip hop back in the day. I'm like, how the hell did they come up with that? Like just the talent and the intelligence that was behind it. Sometimes I was rushing to go look at the dictionary to look up a word, you know. Now it is nothing like that. So
Okay, so let me address this dick turd on this Friday night because this dick turd got a hard on, apparently. Okay, dick turd, I see you have a hard on for the block. You're the dummy, you dumb bitch, because you're talking about racism transcends Earth. So do tell, are the aliens racist as well? You dumb bitch. Now you got our attention, you dumb bitch. So you want to call somebody a dummy, but you're the dumb bitch in the chat. So you're probably a hotep. Do you have a purple dress on right now, you dumb bitch? You're telling us racism transcends Earth. Have you
I'm
been
gonna
to
fucking
Mars? Are the aliens racist? You dumb bitch. Are the aliens racist? Have you been to another planet? Since you're talking about earthbound and transcending Earth, where the fuck have you been other than the fucking government cheese line, you dumb bitch? Okay?
hold
Or
on,
down
hold
to
on.
the office to get a PPP loan. You
Don't
dumb
don't
bitch.
don't cuss them out too bad. I might want to borrow that purple dress.
It's so fucking stupid. Is that racism transcends Earth? Where the fuck else have you been other than Earth, you dumb bitch? Put the weed down and get a new strain. Maybe what you're smoking sent you outer space. But here on Earth, okay, here on Earth, racism exists. Now you're telling me racism transcends Earth. What other planet have you been on, you dumb bitch? And smoking weed does not count. Wherever the weed took you to, that don't count. Fucking cornball. Now, I'm not going to block you, you dumb bitch, but I am going to put you on timeout, you dumb bitch. Fucking beating off he's been beating off in the fucking chat for the past 15 minutes like a little gnat. Like you subscribe for that? Did you subscribe for that? Let me put this shit on subscribers only because these bitches.
I actually put them on timeout already before you started.
Okay.
Before you got
fine, because I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
he was just like, it was just too much.
I mean, it's Friday night. Let's enjoy, mi gente. Let me put this on subscribers only because I see these fucking cornballs. Y'all are not gonna ruin my night. Motherfucker talking about racism transcends Earth. What the fuck are you even talking about? Like, you got to give him the fucking the De Niro face. Like, what are you talking about? You got to give him the De Niro.
Oh,
anyway, back to the show.
Adam Hearn, you're absolutely right. When I was younger, I loved me some Little Kim and Adina Howard. Ooh. Anyway, you are absolutely correct. So anyway, I'm gonna say something right now that might really be real controversial, which I usually say, but I don't give a fuck. I blame the South. I blame the South for all of this bullshit.
You cannot blame the South.
I'm gonna explain right now, and it's gonna make sense. It's gonna make sense. I'm not just talking on my ass.
I'm listening.
I'm talking on my ass.
Continue.
In New York, the East Coast was the dominant culture. The main thing that the other cultures followed suit on or whatever was what? Lyricism. was lyricism,
Okay.
creativity, creating things. Then the West Coast got a hold of things. And then what became more dominant? Production, melodies, creating songs. The East Coast followed suit. Things got to, we started creating records, actual songs, building up the hype and so on and so forth. And even the South, that came out of all that, Scarface, Outkast, some great Southern acts. The moment this shit turned into some mumble mouth, marble mouth shit, some shit that made no fucking sense, the East Coast, the West Coast, the whole entire motherfucking, culture became some strip club dumb shit, became some remedial dumb shit, became some fourth grade, education shit. And it's been that way for the past 15, 20 years. They got a stronger stranglehold on that shit. And I'm sorry, education isn't necessarily
But what about West Coast and gangster rap? I'm sorry,
I
but if we're gonna say that,
I never said there was any bad things. I'm talking about sonically. I'm speaking to you sonically.
Who cares about sonically? We're talking about lyrically and the. I don't care. No, but you're talking like a musician. I don't care what the beat is. I don't care what the beat is.
Then. So we can talk about that.
Our concern has always been lyrically. Delivery, message. That is what we're talking about on today. Nobody cares whether they use a real guitar or a synthesizer. We're talking about lyrically.
There was still different acts. There was still different acts. Balance with the West Coast
but you're talking about sonically. You're talking about sonically. We're not talking sonically is not what gets a girl to want to go dance on a pole.
We're talking about lyrics right now. Forget about that. Lyrically speaking and act-wise, there was still different acts and different people. There was still the Lauryn Hills. There was still the NWAs. There was still
we said that.
There was still and still so on and so forth.
Yeah, but we said that a bunch of times.
When trap music became a big thing, once they had the stranglehold on everything became essentially one-dimensional.
Honestly, and to his point, that's honestly when I remember starting to complain about hip-hop music for this particular reason. It wasn't the fact that, because like you, Jen, I've never been like, oh my God, I can't believe they said that, because I'm like, the fuck, I love that. But it was more so I started noticing the dumbed down lyrics in general across the board. There was no more, it wasn't as much wordplay and metaphors and real lyricism. It just became more about the production. Because I remember I would complain about it, and the number one thing I would hear, but the beat is fine. But the beat is fine. So I was like, okay, well, maybe the times are changing and going away from lyrics and being more so producer driven. So I said, okay, throw my hand up. Maybe
that's why I say sonically doesn't matter, because of what you just said, Lily. The beat is fire. Because let me tell you, down south has some dope beats. The lyrics may have been hot garbage, but down south has some really dope beats. So did the West Coast. Like, you think of Dr. Dre and all of them. My point was like, yeah, we acknowledge there's always been different acts in hip hop. However, lyrically, I'm like, I can't just throw that on the South, because look at the rappers that we have here. I mean, I'm not in New York anymore, but I'm in New York in my soul. But look at the rappers of New York, Harlem, and trap music and whatever. I'm like, that shit ain't from the South.
Yeah, but then when they took over, but when they took, yeah, they do. But when they took over, it was just. That literally, I remember distinctly, I was complaining a lot. I was like, this shit is horrible. I mean, besides the beats, everything else was just horrible, right? And then I started noticing the one-dimensional, like around the white t-shirt times. And that's the time, around the time I moved down to Atlanta. And everybody was wearing the same uniform, them big-ass white tees. They were like 17 sizes too big. And they were doing that whole trap.
And where was that?
This was in Atlanta. And this is when Atlanta...
That was the New York uniform.
Okay, so I didn't know that
the huge white t-shirt, them big old baggy pants with the Air Force Ones. Like
That
they
was
used to sell those big
92?
what they was
93?
they were selling them big white t-shirts. Every street vendor had those
Mhm.
white t-shirts.
Right. And it was like a whole uniform. And so then all of the rappers started looking the same. And then the music just started to sound the exact same around that time. And that's when I really started to kind of check out for that reason. Because it was like this just the talent, it was just weird to me. It was coming off of an assembly line.
I just want to say shout out and free Mystical.
Huh?
Mystical?
Free
Right,
Mystical.
Mystical's a rapist.
Exactly.
Over and over and
I'm
over.
playing. He's from New Orleans. I'm playing.
Yeah, but that ain't a good one.
Again, your comedic timing. We need to work
Yeah,
on that.
no.
I'm like,
Let him
Mystical.
say. Right, let
Mystical's
him say.
a rapist twice over. That's not free
Right.
Mystical. This comment is funny. Don't fuck with Jesse's Porter. She ain't even mad yet. Yo, thank you for acknowledging that, because people think when I address some things, it's like she mad. I'm not even mad yet. It's not. It's annoying. Like it's kind of like when a little chihuahua keeps nipping, you just want to kick them to the side. Like enough already. Enough. Let's get back to business. Izzy High, I see you. Izzy High, I see you in the back chat. However, if you're not going to show your face, you have to do a super chat, babe. So you can come up and talk your shit.
Or Cash App.
Adam Hurd has a super chat.
Yeah. So let's read Adam Hurd's super chat. I see you backstage, Izzy High. Are you going to cam up? Are you going to show your face? If not, you have to super chat something. Adam Hearn, thank you for the super chat. Adam Hearn says, I blame liberalism and reduced importance of the church. Church is the foundation to R&B and Black music. Trash replace that foundation.
We need to go back to God.
That's what it sounds like Adam Hearn is saying. The church.
We need to go back to God. Them damn liberals. See, I told you. Them damn liberals, they.
The liberals taking all shots tonight. What the hell? No saying you gonna take up for your people? God damn. Georgia, they're fighting. Georgia, they're fighting for the chance.
I'm center left. So you ain't
I don't think you're center left.
You're not
I think
center.
you're playing
You're
it
definitely
safe.
not
I think
center.
you're playing it safe. But I don't think you're center left. So, great segue for my next segment, okay? Who ruined the image of Black women, part 2, right? Are white people, are white people enablers of the degeneracy? Are they defenders and enablers of the... Okay. I have a video. I got a video here of something that white people do a lot. Like, sometimes they call it white guilt, right? There's white guilt. So it's like you overcompensate and think everything is okay. Like, no, you have to think about how they grew up and they're disenfranchised. And that's why they wear their pants below their ass and kill people. Like, it's like, right? You got to consider where they came from, right? Meanwhile, even all the while, even when they see other people of color saying, no, that's a degenerate and we don't want anything to do with that, they'll contradict you and be like, no, but it's because of how that person grew up. As of what we're saying means nothing. So there's a lot of overcompensation. What were you going to say, Haram, before I play this video?
We really need to differentiate the white people who usually do that. Those are liberals, Democrats. They are the biggest enablers of the bullshit. And I would go on to say 98% of the reason why the community is in the state that it's in, because they love...
What percentage? What percentage?
We're at 98 now.
I'd give it 98%.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, we got to pause right there. So the state of the community, the disenfranchised communities, the ghettos or whatever, white liberals and Democrats are 98% responsible for that?
I will throw that in there, yes.
So
I don't have the data. I don't have the data, but I will throw that number out there.
Okay, so two. Let's just play with the number. Let's play with the number. It's
Let's
Friday
see.
night.
I
Fuck
mean,
it.
why not?
Fuck it.
Your
We're here.
manosphere numbers, your
We're
manosphere
here.
data.
We're here, Jenny. We're here.
We're here. We're here. So that would mean that you put the majority, the onus, right, on white people. So then that would cut down our determinism to 2%, right?
Yeah, it would. And I would feel that, and here's my logic.
Mm-hmm.
Very often when for instance, when someone such as myself discusses self-determinism, the so-called pull yourself up from your bootstraps, blah blah blah, so on and so forth, I'm often told that I'm speaking Republican talking points. How am I speaking
Right, they've told me
Republican
that.
talking?
Mhm.
All I'm telling you is that you need to basically be held accountable for your actions. However, if you have an entire political party that's constantly telling you it's never your fault, and they're always pushing for factions and funding to ensure that that your degeneracy is enabled, they put your degeneracy on stage. They even have you parade around with like presidential candidates with your fucking buffoonery. You know what I mean? They put you on display. You are going to be conditioned to believe that, hey, there's a sect of people that are always going to accept this bullshit. There has to be a point in time where you say, hey, this ain't good, man. And if you constantly keep doing that, you constantly keep enabling that shit. If you constantly keep enabling a person, you leave them in a state of infancy. They don't grow up. And that's why we have so much development in the community.
Okay, so there's some people in the chat asking for the link. I dropped the link. Please come up. If you're gonna come up behind the avatar, that's fine. But you have to do a super chat for that. Like, we charge on the block. Sorry, unless you can listen. You got the choice. You can come up for free. If you're gonna show your face, if you want to hide behind the avatar, you can Cash App on the block with Jen, or you can super chat. Okay. So I dropped the link again. So Haran,
Yes.
I'm telling you, this is a great segue for the video I'm about to play. Why do you think the white liberals or the Democrats, why do you think they want to infantilize Black people? Is there malice behind it? Or is there a soliciting of the vote behind it?
I think it's many layers attached to it. I also think that there's this self-importance involved where they want to feel superior to the other white people who just see us as niggas.
Ooh,
see, we're not that.
That sounds like what No was saying last night.
We're evolved. We're evolved whites. We accept you. No, it's not your fault. No, it's no. The system is the reason why you shot 8 people. No, it's the system. The system is. You had no choice. Meanwhile, this nigga grew up middle class. No, but you had no choice. It's still the pull of the degeneracy that pulled you into that life. It's not your fault. Look, the black churches continue. There's a reason why the presidential candidates go down to black churches. They run. The black church, in many ways, is in cahoots to ensure that the people remain docile, and the people remain, compliant to the what is the word? The enabling. It's all the racket. It's all the ruse. You know what I mean? It's like I said, it's there's many levels attached to it. But anyway, go ahead. Play what you're playing.
Okay, so welcome. Is it Neve?
It's Neve. How are you?
Hi, Neve. Welcome to On the Block with Jen.
Hi, everyone. I don't see your names, but my name's Neve, obviously.
Hi.
Nave.
Okay, so I'll remove the banner so you can, if you want to address everyone by name, there you go. Welcome to the
Perfect.
panel. We're always
Is that
happy to see a new
Karen?
face.
Is it Karen or
Haran.
Kieran? Haran, that's you. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Okay.
I found your page because of Moxie and Alex or Tristan in your chat. I talked to them too, so they told me about your channel, and I popped in. I've been listening, and I think you guys got a really good conversation going. So
Okay,
Thank
well, thank
you.
you and welcome. So I want to play this video because it was, reminiscent of, in my opinion, what No Saint was saying last night about how we were pointing out a certain demographic, and we are like, no, it's, degeneracy, whatever. And No Saint, I think you were saying like, you have to consider how that person grew up and whatever, right? Something like that. We were talking about No Saint before I played the video.
Not exactly. No, I was saying I had a problem with saying there are black people. What Lily said, she said there's black people and then the N word, and I said I heard that growing up, and it really rubs me wrong. But listen, I want you to play your thing because I want to address some stuff that Haran said as well.
Okay. Awesome. So let's play this video. I think this is a problem that happens a lot with white people, and I've seen them do this. I've been in these circles and at these meetings or whatever, where I think that they overcompensate to the point of infantilization of people of color, or being okay with them being dumb because those poor blacks, they're just not like us. They're not up to par. And I thought this was really interesting. So I'm going to play. It was a Zoom meeting with some teachers. I'm going to play what they said, and then I'm going to play the reaction of the man who responded to it. I thought he had some great points. So everybody, get your listening ears on, and I'm about to play this.
When a Black or African American child says to their teacher, "Teacher, can I ask you a question?" And the immediate response being from the teacher with a sense of superiority based in white racial superiority, often with our 84% white female teachers, the response being, "That's not how we say ask. We say ask. Ask isn't a word." And so we have children that understand their home language practices to be not just deficit, not just wrong, but broken, ignorant. The list goes on and on as to what it communicates when you police a child's language that their home and their community has taught them.
So supposedly correcting black students when they say ax instead of ask is racist? See, people like this feel like stupidity and ignorance is black culture. If a student, no matter what their race and culture is in English class, for instance, and they say a word wrong, the teacher should correct them and show them the proper way to say the word and the proper way to pronounce the word and the proper way to use the word in a sentence. They shouldn't be like, "Oh, I know all your people say that word wrong, so it's cool. Just keep doing it like that because I don't want to be racist." That's ridiculous. And why are black people the only people who excuse stuff like this? We need to hold ourselves to a higher standard.
Okay, now I know I've been in. Yes, I've been in many a verbal fisticuffs on Facebook because when I correct grammar, they're like, "It's not that serious. This is just Facebook." And I'm like, "No, it's your first language, though. Like English is your first language."
Can I throw something out there?
That'll make my mother cringe because she like working around a lot. She was like, "Yeah, it may not be that serious for their child, but it's that serious for your ass." See, we can't get away with what a white person's child can get away with, right? So my mother was like, when you walk through the door, they're going to expect you to be ignorant just cause a lot of times, right? So you don't have that liberty. You don't have that. You just don't.
Okay, so I just want to make note. We have more people on the panel, so please watch your mics and don't talk over each other. I'd like to pass the mic. No Saint, you're huffing and puffing over there. So I want you to say what you have to say.
What I want to say is this. Listen, I understand, and you should absolutely teach people the kind of English that you're going to use if you're going into business, if that's what you're going into. So I don't have a problem with that. But to act like there's one way, like it ain't used to, remember the whole thing? Ain't's not a word because it ain't in the dictionary. Remember that? You ever say that in New York? Yeah. Well, guess what? It's in the dictionary now. Language changes over time. And the language English you speak today, you couldn't have gone back 500 years and spoke that English. So although ask isn't the correct way, one day it might be in the dictionary as a way to say ask. So all I'm saying is like they act like there's a strict, there is in business. Yes, you have to learn the correct state, but don't act like just because someone's mispronouncing a word that your English has somehow always been the correct way to speak, because our English is not the same as the English, the Queen's English. So they could look down on us and say, oh, those Americans, they're, you know, they came up with this spelling and this word. And, you know, it's right. It's right. It's right in America. That's all I'm saying. Like to act like like everything's fixed is what I got on my nerves about. Well, this is the correct way. It's the correct way today. It might not be the correct way tomorrow.
It's a light in the ass goddamn fucking point.
What's
right.
that?
I'm like, wasn't she
That's a
correcting
light
him
in
on
the
that
ass
day?
damn point, man.
Like, wasn't she correcting him on the day that it was correct? Because she was, wasn't she a teacher?
Yeah,
How
she
far
was.
does it go?
Yes, but then the
Right.
guy after that was acting like, you know, I mean, people act like these words don't get into cool. Cool wasn't until the 60s. Cool wasn't a word that you use to mean someone that's like has swag or whatever. Now it is. Guess
Well,
what?
let me-
In the American. If you said cool 100 years ago, people were like, "What?"
Okay, so let me
temperature?
say this real quick, and I really want to pass the mic to our new guest. But let me say this, No Saint. The problem with what you're saying is that in current times, when the word ask is proper, anyone who's saying ask is looked down upon in general in society. Okay, it's not, ask is not in the dictionary yet for a question. It's not there yet. Presently, ask is wrong. So why give a pass to an entire demographic when you know, No Saint, that if somebody went into a job interview today and they were Black and they were speaking to the person hiring, they said, I think I should ask, or maybe you should ask me different questions. You know damn well the possibility of them getting that job is null and void.
Well, that's why I said you should teach
Miss me with the bullshit, because axe is not in the dictionary right now.
Well, that's why I said
proper
as far as
English.
business goes, yes. But if he goes to a tattoo shop, it would not, or he's a trucker, or he's some other job. This doesn't really.
But No Saint, that doesn't make sense.
But
that doesn't make sense, No Saint, because if they're never corrected, they won't even
no,
know
I
the
said I
difference
never
between
said
the
they
two.
shouldn't be taught. I'm just saying, listen. People look down on the way people sound down in the South, and some of the things they say down South. It's an accent. There's a culture there, right? So I mean, but does that make?
But we're talking about people in a specific space. These people are not down South. So if you're in New York City, let's say, wait a minute. Let's not. We can do the ifs, ands, and buts. We can do that. But in here where we are, let's pick New York, right? All the white kids, Asian kids, and Latin kids are saying ask. You're saying it's okay for Black kids, even though they grew up in the same area, to give them a pass for saying ask and not speaking proper English.
No, I never said when they're in school they shouldn't learn it's ask, or on a test you should not know how to spell ASK over AX. I never said that. I'm saying
you're just saying it's okay if they're not going to.
There are things in that. Listen, I think a lot of that is just being whatever group you're in. That's the way people are talking. Just like people in the South say a bunch of stuff that sounds ignorant, or there's other places in the country.
So you're saying, long as they don't want to be, and long as
I don't think it's a sign of their intelligence. I don't think that's an intelligence.
So you don't. All right. So long as they don't want anything further than a tattoo shop.
I didn't say that. No, I said they should be taught, but but for the second guy I just didn't like the way it came off. Like that can't be something, because we have plenty of words that have changed over time.
You're being, but then this goes back to what happened yesterday. You're being tone deaf, because that's a Black man talking about his demographic, and what you're doing as a white man, liberal white man. Although you stay in the middle, I don't believe it. I think you're a full-blown liberal, right? What you're doing is contradicting a Black man. You're contradicting a Black man talking about his community and how he's deemed in society. But you know better than that Black man. You're like, hey, axe doesn't mean that you're dumb. And that's what I'm talking about. You're being tone deaf. You're not listening to what he's saying and what he's experienced. But on that note, I'm going to hold on, No Saint. Thank you for the super chat. YouTube Press says, jumped in late, sitting quietly. Y'all don't be picking on the South now. You hear? We're not picking. Listen, I love me some Southerners. With that said, I don't want to hog the mic. I'd like Neve to express whatever it is they're thinking. And then we will pass the mic to Izzy High because we talk all the time, guys. So let the guests say what they got to say.
Yeah, I've been listening, and just to be sure, like I just want to be confident that I can contribute in a way where when I ask a question, it's not because, hey, like I think I have maybe like a few questions to kind of understand, but I don't want to do it in an ignorant way just because of where I live. I don't necessarily experience and understand a lot of the same things. So I guess number one is like, I think we can acknowledge the benefit to not saying acts like almost anywhere, but I'm wondering if it's okay to like discount somebody's skill set because they say that. Like, and if so, like to the degree that you wouldn't consider them for a job. So that's kind of like where my mind is at right now, but I don't know if that really contributes. I'm sorry.
No, it does. That's a great question. Lily, what say you?
Yeah, I going back to the point I was making earlier. Where are you from?
I'm from Canada on the West Coast, so
Got
it's very progressive here, or what we
Okay.
would say is, I guess.
Perfect. So basically, right, back to like what my mother was saying, right, before. If I, first of all, or let's not even go with me. Let's just go with Haran, right?
Yeah.
Haran goes in to go get a job, right? A lot of times, just his presence walking through the door, right, as a Black man, a lot of times they're going to automatically think a lot of times that he's not qualified, right?
Okay.
So to add on not speaking correct English does not help that matter, right? So that's why it's important. Like we can't get away with not speaking proper English in certain settings. Now, and with slang, with your friends at the tattoo shop, cool. But we have to know the difference, which hence to the word code switching here, right? Black people, it's very important in America that Black people know how to code switch. If we want to work in certain areas or get by in certain areas, it's just our reality.
Mute your mics, guys. Mute your mics unless you're going to speak.
For me, I'm going to say it's not just going to be just whether the person says ask versus ask, you know, because I know there's plenty of times I've said ask, you know, just because of just speaking fast and shit like that. It's going to be more along the lines of their whole sentence, everything that they're saying. Now, if everything else they're saying is good, if they ain't talking to me like, yo, my nigga, throwing curses and every other word, if axe comes out, it just comes out. I'm not going to judge them just because that one word was pronounced, the SK was pronounced as an XE.
That's because you're a Black man and you use the word. But we have to live on a planet with other people.
So you're gonna everything else the person says is proper, but now that one thing comes out.
Yeah,
and now
but
you're totally
everything. No, but here's the thing. Usually, either people speak proper or they don't. Kari,
Right.
let's not split hairs.
Really.
Let's not. Let's
Come
not split
on, Kari,
hairs.
stop it.
Let's not split hairs because I know you do that. Let's not split hairs. If someone speaks proper English, they speak proper English. You're not just going to be like, hey, the circumference of blah, and let's ask. It's either you are or you aren't. But again, I don't want to hog the mic. Izzy High has been waiting patiently. What say you, sir?
My question is this. So it's because it's their first language. This is basically the argument. They should be talking quote unquote proper, correct?
I mean, what's your opinion? I mean,
no, I'm asking you real quick.
Sure. Oh, you're asking me personally? Yeah,
I
do.
Everybody on the panel.
Do. Yes, when it's your first language, there's no reason why you shouldn't learn it correctly. That's my opinion. Especially when you're growing up in America, in the same schools as the Latin kids, the white kids, the Asian kids, the Indian kids. There is no reason why the Black child should not be able to learn proper English in that setting where every other student is learning it properly. That's my opinion. I don't know about the rest of the panel.
And may I add one other thing? Can someone correct me if I'm wrong about the illiteracy rate currently being at 85%?
Oh, you going there, Lily?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go there as well.
Correct. It's correct.
Okay.
And first of all, my thing is this, you know what I mean? When we're having these discussions, let's not be intellectually dishonest, because when it comes to immigrants coming to this country, And if there, anytime there's any kind of language barrier, what's the first thing that people say? If you're going to come to this country, learn the goddamn language. So, let's just, be honest about these things. And another thing too, where it's one thing to talk about slang and colloquial speak, but if you were giving a college level dissertation and you saw ask them niggas and we do, blah, 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 so on and so forth, you are going to have an immediate perception of the person who wrote it. And if the CEO of your company, sent out a company-wide email and you saw a whole bunch of grammatical errors, so on and so forth, you'd question the intelligence of the CEO of your company.
And that's the importance. That's the importance of knowing the language correctly. Therein lies the importance. Awesome. Unless, like No Saint said, your goal is to be in a tattoo shop.
Now, I will say this though, real quick. I do agree that the teachers should be trying to correct the child on whether they're saying ask or ax. I would make sure that, hey, you're trying to say the word ask, not the word axe correctly. Correct? And if that's correct, yes, but now if the kid just has a hard time pronouncing the word ask, I'm not going to.
That's different.
That actually was my point. That's why I wanted to kind of jump in there real quick. I'm not trying to be rude, but what you guys are saying kind of doesn't make sense, because what you're saying is I'll give an excuse to a person that can't completely talk right because he can't pronounce certain words. Like if a white dude comes into a business setting and you guys are, let's say, at an interview and he spells spaghetti correctly, but he says pusket. Are you going to judge him? See, the thing is what I find funny is that what is proper English, right? And I get it. And it's not the best, argument, but at the same time, you have to take into account people's ability for the actual speech. Can they pronounce certain words? Can they not? Are they from another country, or are they just unable? Do they have some sort of accent? So like if you go up to the north, right? You go to Minnesota area, right? They say certain words and they kind of use a really weird sounding, like when they say certain words, I can't really do it because I don't know too many people in the north.
About.
You hear, about, right? And you hear these things, right? It is the way they speak. And this is the problem. Now, that's one of the biggest problems, because you can't tell if a person just has a problem pronouncing certain words or if they're ignorant. And it's because you have this idea of what is perceived as ignorant. Now, I will say one detriment to Black folks, because guess what? We kind of did it to ourselves. At the end of the day, that whole code switching is the reason why you in the mentality you in right now. And you hear that because you're saying, well, we should be code switching. No, we shouldn't. No, we shouldn't. And anybody that sits here and says, oh, we should, then what you're actually doing is you're going out of your way to be, what's the best word? So you're trying to acquiesce to other people's rules because you want to try to show them and prove them different. Guess what? My IQ has nothing to do with my pronunciation of words. My IQ and my ability to do a job has nothing to do with my pronunciation of words. Okay? Now, if you're saying, oh, if you go up there at a dissertation and you say done and did, well, guess what, brother? If you say done or did at a dissertation, you probably didn't go to college. You know what I mean? And you're probably up there for a whole different reason. I don't know. Maybe you're a CEO that dropped out of high school. Okay. See, the thing is some of the things that you guys are saying are just kind of dumb because they don't make sense. When does somebody give a dissertation and is in college and they say done and did in the wrong way? Who does that?
Okay, so let me respond. Here's why I think what you're saying is dumb. You're splitting hairs the way Kari does. You're splitting hairs. Now you're talking about learning disabilities. Now you're talking about lingual disabilities. Now you're talking about maybe it's not that they're dumb. Maybe it's that they can't pronounce the word. Their tongue doesn't form the word. That to me is dumb. If a child grows up here, black, white, yellow, blue, or purple, you are growing up in America. You're in the school system in America, and you choose because your auntie and them say X, you're going to go to school and say X 2, then you are being willfully ignorant. And that has
How do you know
nothing
they're
to do with,
choosing?
that has nothing to do, that has
How do you
nothing
know
to
that
do
they're
with this.
choosing?
Hold on a minute. Do not interrupt me because I didn't interrupt
Okay.
you. We let you go for a while. We let you go for a while, okay? So we're gonna let everybody speak here, okay? It has nothing to do with assimilation or code switching. It is willful ignorance. There's a difference between willful ignorance and speech impediments. You do know that, right? There's a difference. If I tell someone it is ask, okay? Well, my auntie and them say ask, and we black, and that's how we talk. So that's what it's gonna be. Okay, that is willful ignorance. That is different from assimilation and code switching. So I think what you're saying is dumb. And I'll pass the mic. Lily, you wanted to ask a question?
Yes, it was a couple of things I want to say. I never said we should. I said, unfortunately, we have to. Okay. And we are not the only ones that code switch. Everybody pretty much code switch. But unfortunately, it's more imperative for us to code switch. But my question is, why is it every time there's a conversation with standards in Black community, this happens, right? Where people come in and capable like, no, we don't fucking need standards. That's for white people. We don't need standards. That's for white people. Those are white people's standards. Like, why is it anytime, any and every time we have a conversation about standards, we get the caping for not having standards? But then we're like, how did we get here? Why how did we get here as a community? I mean, really, it's because we can't put whenever there's standards. It's like, why can't we have standards? And
Okay.
and you know,
Yeah, I get it, and that totally makes sense. But here's the thing. First off, I didn't say don't allow the kid who says, well, my auntie says ask. Okay. I didn't say that. I'm not talking about them. And here we're talking about kids growing into adults, and we're talking about language. Again, how do you know that they cannot properly pronounce the word? Or are you just assuming because every time I've seen it, it's because they choose? See, the thing is you're making just these statements that you think that are absolutely right. That's number one. Number two, to answer your question, why can't we have standards? I don't believe that we can have standards. But here, let's show standards real quick. Is there a difference between Black folks at a picnic and a barbecue than how white folks act at a picnic and a barbecue?
Absolutely.
Okay, so if there's a difference between them, what's the standard? Please tell me.
The standard is when both of those people actually are sitting in professional settings, both of them are actually speaking in a context that's considered the standard for a professional setting. How many white people
for a professional standard? For a professional standard.
And that's what these children are being prepared for. They're being prepared for moving. Wait 1 second, sir. They're being prepared for moving and maneuvering through professional settings or more advanced educational settings. Now, again, the example that you used is a speech impediment. If there's a speech impediment, you can fix that. You can sit down and you can have a conversation. You can seek professional help. Maybe they don't know the person actually can pronounce the word correctly because they're not pronouncing the word correctly. Now, there's a difference between that slang and how a person actually writes and their grammar and so on and so forth. Now, if we're going to have our own speech, are we going to have our own mathematics also? Are we going to have our own science? Are we going to have our own so on and so forth? Where does it stop? And if it doesn't stop anywhere, then guess what? Let's all get together and go get our own shit then. Because at the end of the day, we're sitting here and having this conversation and you're still living and sitting in the American system.
Okay, that's a great, that was awesome. Let me give you a round of applause on that. That's great. That was awesome to say. Again, we're talking about standards. Okay, now you can try to change it up because what you did is you just switched up what my example was to a whole different example that I wasn't even speaking of. But that's okay, because here's the thing. If you have, let's say, an Indian individual at a professional business, and you have a Black individual, and you have white individuals, and you have Asian individuals over there. Now, they all seem to act the way they usually act at whatever they do, and it's usually okay. Usually. But the minute the Black guy starts talking, maybe he's a little bit louder or where, he's talking with a little bit more passion. All of a sudden, it's not standards. What I'm saying is this: every single other group has some sort of exception, and it's okay. Every other group. But when there's certain things that Black folks do, all of a sudden, why do we not stand up and be standard? See, the thing is every other group has always done what they've done. And whether people want to admit it or not, no, they haven't code switched. People stay who they are. They don't. Indian guys who from the country, hold on real quick, because you wanted to say this and you want to do this, because I didn't bring up grammar or anything, because I actually think that the grammar is a whole different subject. And I think actually you would be absolutely correct when it comes to grammar. I'm not talking about grammar, we're talking about speech. So if the Indian guy who's been here for his whole life, but he speaks to his mother and his dad who speak, their language, and he still has the accent that their family has, are you going to tell him that he's been here his whole life and he should be able to speak proper English? Are you going to tell him that? No, you're never going to tell him that. So you're going to accept that. So I'm not saying that we shouldn't have standards. I'm not saying that we shouldn't speak right if we can. I'm not saying these things. What I'm saying is you guys keep on acting like everybody else's standards is higher than us. Guess what? They're not. I've been to a lot of really rich Black folks' house. Really rich millionaires. And guess what? They're all just as loud at their barbecues as us down in the street.
Okay, let me jump in here. Okay, let me jump in here because now you're going into redundancy. Okay. Okay, so here's the thing. You're stellar at moving the goalpost. We went from the kids say axe because of their accents. We went to the kids say axe because of their speech impediments. We went to the kids say axe because, it was raining that time. It sounds to me like you're doing the opposite. You're saying that people call out Black people when they act a certain way. That's bullshit, okay? Because the president of the United States, white, rich billionaire, got dragged. Someone put in the chat for saying bigly, dragged. There were memes, videos. He's a very ignorant human being, white billionaire, the creme de la creme, the 1%. And he gets dragged continuously. But it sounds to me like you want Black people to be beyond reproach. And that is different from, if a Black person does it, it's wrong. But when they do it, it's good. It sounds like you want Black people to be beyond reproach. You want them to be loud. You want them to be ignorant. You want them to say words wrong. And you want them to be accepted and that be the standard. I think that's bullshit. No one is beyond reproach. So when you just said, if somebody else says it, you ain't going to say nothing. Who? Us? We definitely going to say something. The Nation said something when Trump was up there. It sounded like he couldn't stitch a fucking sentence together. It sounds to me like you want beyond reproach. This has nothing to do with standards. You keep moving the goalposts. Maybe they can't speak. Maybe their tongue got cut out. Maybe they tripped over something. Yeah, but look at the barbecue. The barbecue, I've been to rich white, the Black people's house. They talk loud. This has to be accepted. It sounds to me like you want low standards to be accepted for Black people, which is the same thing that the man said in the video. That is literally what the man said in the video. When it comes to Black people, the worst of the worst has to be accepted as the standard for that culture. And that's BS. And that's why we're looked at a certain way. I mean, look what No Saying said. No, it's even white people coddle Black people. Like you guys just can't say the word ask. You guys are ignorant and we accept you as is. You don't need standards for us. You're Blacks. So
I love that. That was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. You know what? Had I been anybody else, that totally would have worked because I did not move the goalpost. I actually stayed completely on point. And
we ended up at a barbecue. No,
again, I use that as an example because, again, I'm trying to show you what standards are. Again, I asked the question because, again, you brought up the point of standard. Okay? I didn't bring it up. You did. Now, so I use that as an example. So the thing is when you, and I stayed on the point of speech, and when everybody kept on going on the grammar, I told you, no, we're not talking about grammar. So I use barbecue as a standard to understand what your idea of standards are, okay? Because standards are subjective. That's it. And that's my point. And you guys are acting like, no, there is a standard. Well, actually, there isn't. Standards are considered subjective.
Absolutely
And
not.
you guys are
Absolutely not.
acting as if
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. You are
Okay,
absolutely not.
explain 'em.
Absolutely. Now we're veering into willful ignorance. Are you going to walk into a courtroom with a clown suit on? Everything has standards. Relationships, corporate America, the barbecue, even the
not
barbecue, even the bar. No, it's not extreme.
Why
Even the
is it
barbecue.
extreme?
Let's take it down to the barbecue, since we've been diminished to etiquette at a barbecue. Okay, even a barbecue has standards. You ever heard of this motherfucker come here and eat 3 plates and don't even bring a fucking piece of bread? Even a barbecue has standards. You don't want anything to have standards regarding Black people. Everything in life has standards. Everything has standards. Now you're talking about standards are subjective? That's insane.
I'll tell you one thing, though.
Did Uncle Bubba still get 3 plates of food?
I need to say one thing. When my Jamaican family came over to this goddamn country, the fact that Black Americans had a hard time understanding them, they would always tell them, speak proper English. I can't understand you.
Haran, you literally took the thought out of it, because I was going to ask the chat and the people
Y'all know what it is. Let a motherfucker let Habib, Hamek, Ak talking in a particular manner that you can't understand. You can understand standards. You'll be the first one to remember. Do the right thing. Remember Radio Raheem? English, motherfucker. English.
This is the first time I've ever heard someone say standards are subjective, and it only happens, again, like Lily said, when we're talking about the Black demographic. Then standards are subjective. Then it's like, hey, we can do and say what we want.
We can twerk at the Alamo. Like, what the fuck?
Really quickly. Thank you for the super chat, the super sticker. YouTube Press, I appreciate you for supporting the show. Really quickly, before you jump back in, I want to know if Neve has anything to say. I don't want to hog the mic.
No, I think I'm just wondering where, so like I wouldn't say necessarily my politics, but I definitely would, like, I come from a very like white community. A lot of it, they attempt to be what would be considered progressive. And so I could see a lot of their approach to things like POC as being enabling or maybe not enforcing the same standard. But yeah, I'm just a little, like, I've just been listening because I feel like a lot of what's been talked about is nuance, and I don't necessarily know that I can speak to the entire point yet. So
okay. All right.
Yeah, sorry. It sounds like a bit of a cop-out.
Okay, Izzy, we're going to pass the mic, okay? Does anyone else have anything to say?
Standards change, though. Standards do change. And I say that, wait a second.
The goalpost.
Check it out. Y'all like to bring up professional settings. Professional settings.
I said barbecue. I said let's stick to the barbecue since we can't.
No, we're talking about proper. Listen, we're talking about being proper to prepare for the real world.
Okay, wait a minute. Forget the corporate world, because that seems to be too much for us. We can't picture Black people in corporate America. So let's take it down. Okay, let's take it down to the lowest place you got to have etiquette, the barbecue, because corporate America and Black people are not synonymous. It's like Black people in corporate America. So let's take it to the barbecue, Kari. Let's take it to the barbecue. There's no standards at the barbecue. There's no standards at the barbecue.
Not really.
Oh, okay,
really?
Okay, what's your race real quick? What's your race real quick, Jen?
Wait a minute. So wait a minute.
Barbecue is the people go to let loose, in my opinion.
Okay. So they go to let loose. Let loose. So you're conducting a barbecue. Let's see. Let's just take it down to the fucking the tiniest molecule. You're throwing a barbecue. Everybody's invited. I bring a friend. He wants to let loose. He's grabbing the beer. He's over by your fucking your barbecue. He's grabbing shit, okay? He's slapping your cousins on the ass. Now, you don't know him. But my friend thinks that barbecues are where you let loose, right? So he thinks the women are up for grabs, your beer is up for grabs, your meat is up for grabs. He goes down, sits in your chair, puts his legs up on the thing, and he like, what up, nigga? What you doing?
And now you're moving the goalpost.
No, I'm not moving the goalpost.
Yes,
Totally.
you are.
You wanted to go to the barbecue.
Look, we're talking
Y'all
about
wanted
speech
to
and
go-
ass versus ass.
But we couldn't go there because y'all wanted to take it to the barbecue.
We're
No.
talking
Yes,
about
you wanted to
standards
take
with
it
the
to the
person.
barbecue.
We're talking about standards on the people, how the people speak.
Okay,
and whether
but
they
I
say
know-
ass
We're
versus
talking
ass.
about-
Answer the question. Answer the question. According to y'all, it's unfathomable that black people should have etiquette, even in corporate America. So I'm taking it down to the
That's not
barbecue.
what I
I'm
said.
making it easy for y'all. I'm making
not
it
what I
easy
said.
for y'all. I am making it easy for you. Kari, that guy shouldn't have standards, right? Because you said that's where you let loose. A barbecue is where you let loose.
Yes. A barbecue is where
Okay,
you
so
should go
are
and
you
not
okay?
care whether you
Okay,
say
so are
ass
you
versus
okay?
ass.
Okay, so are you okay? We're talking
what
about
I'm talking
standards.
about.
We're talking about standards. Okay, we're talking about standards. We're not talking about only the word ask. That was a video example. We're talking about standards. The gentleman said standards are
Standards know how to
subjective.
behave.
Okay, standards are subjective. Okay, so do you have a problem
Know how to
with that
behave.
man? Do you have a problem with the man I described at your barbecue? Do you have a problem with him?
Because he doesn't know how to behave.
Okay, then standards are not subjective.
No. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong.
No,
That's wrong.
That's
Let me
you
explain.
totally
Hold on.
Standards are not.
Right.
That is
Hold
the
on.
standard.
You just
Moving
proved.
the goalposts.
Okay, so no, I'm not moving the goalposts. I'm
Yes, you
using your
You just
definition
proved
of
me right.
standards, and you're not liking it. I'm using your definition of standards,
No.
and now you don't like it.
You're using your definition of
No,
standards.
You just
He
proved me
said-
right.
No, he just said standards are subjective. That is
Yes,
not my
they are.
definition. Okay, but okay. So then
But
he's
then you
so
said
that-
there are no
Standards
standards for a
standards
barbecue.
are subjective.
But you said
then
there are
you-
no standards for a barbecue, but now you have a problem with how
Yes,
that
and I
man
was
is
referring
acting.
to in the way motherfuckers speak.
So forget
What
about
we
we're
were
talking
started
about
talking about.
standards.
Oh,
We're
now
splitting hairs
standards
here.
are- know how to behave
We're
yourself.
splitting hairs here. We're splitting
Know how to
hairs
be a
here.
respectful
No, we're not.
grown-ass human
talking-
being.
So
We're
listen,
not.
forget about. Let's get off the word. Let's get off the word ask and ask. Can we do that? Can we agree to do that?
Fine.
Can everybody get off the
Yeah.
word ask and ask? We're
Yeah.
talking about standards and standards only. Forget the video I played. We're
Fine.
talking about standards only. Izzy said they're subjective.
Yes.
Okay, they're subjective, right? So that means forget the word ask and etiquette at speech. Forget speech at the barbecue. Everybody's mute at the barbecue. They're all black and they're all mute. Okay, nobody can say anything. You said that's where you should let loose. He said standards are subjective. Okay, this is real simple math. This guy walks in, does all the behavior that I described. He's slapping your cousins on the ass. He grabbing your beer. You don't even know his name. You're not introduced him. He's over by your barbecue. He's grabbing burgers. You said that you wouldn't like that.
Correct.
But so then standards are not subjective, and everywhere you go,
Yes,
there
they
are standards.
But they're
Okay.
still subjective.
Can I
Okay, so
can I
then why
explain real
wouldn't you
quick?
like that? If standards are
Hold on.
subjective, then why wouldn't you
because-
like that?
Okay.
Because you
okay,
have
check it
what?
out. Check it
No,
out.
no,
check
no.
it out.
Because you have what?
Because standards are subjective. I believe
because
in
you
one
have
standard.
standards.
Other people believe in other standards.
Because you have
Right.
standards.
I have
okay,
standards.
but you have
I
a
have
problem with it
standards.
though.
Hey, talking louder
You're
than
not
everybody and not letting
accepting-
people
but
speak
you're
is
not
not.
accepting. And I'm muting your mic
I
because
have
you're new here.
standards.
Because you're new here, okay? I'm muting your mic. You've been talking loud since you popped up on the panel. Okay?
I've been sitting here being totally.
You've been okay. Let me drop you because we don't play that game here. You've been here yelling to the point where I had to take the mic from you. Okay, everybody's yelling. Me, you, and Kari are fucking yelling. So don't act like you came up here and you were docile. Actually, he sounds like Big Truck. Okay. My thing is that you haven't because we keep moving the goalposts with you too. So now you're saying standards are subjective. You have your standards. The guy at the barbecue has his standards. My point is you have a problem with that man's standards. Just like we have a problem and corporate America, going back to corporate America, would have a problem with the word axe. But when we have a problem with the word axe, you're saying that we shouldn't have those standards, but you have standards. It would bother you. That man at the barbecue would bother you, just like it would bother me for a child who grew up in this country, is in the same school system, is saying axe. It would bother me. But you're saying we shouldn't be bothered by bad grammar and bad speech if the person is black.
No, I didn't
Then
say
we're
the person
code
was
switching.
black.
Then we're code switching.
I
But
didn't
that's what
say
we're
the person
talking.
was black.
But that's what we're talking about tonight.
I said you should judge a person based off of their whole motherfucking way of speaking to you,
Right,
not
but
just
what
off that one
okay,
word.
but why?
Now, if they're
But
they're
why?
saying how Haran demonstrated earlier, I does this and I does that, yeah, you might
Okay,
not be
but here's the
smart.
thing.
But now,
Okay,
if
so
he's talking,
I'm
if you're
gonna
talking fully proper and you just happen to
Mhm.
have, you say the word ask instead of
Mhm.
ask.
Okay, so I'm
I'm
moving
not going to
to
say, oh, this person's a
so
complete idiot now because they said that one
okay,
word.
so I'm moving. So let me. So wait, hold on, Lily. I'm gonna say
That's
this
what I
one
said.
last thing, and I'll pass the mic. So I'm playing goalposts with y'all. Okay, let's all move the goalposts. Okay, since this is how y'all like to communicate. So why are you judging the guy at the barbecue? He gave socks to homeless people last week. So judge him on his charity.
I judge people on
Why are you
different
just
things.
okay? But why are you judging?
Personally.
Okay, but he's at your barbecue, slapping your cousins on the
Mhm,
ass, grabbing
mhm.
your food, didn't bring nothing, didn't even introduce himself. You
Right,
have
he
an
has to
issue
leave
with that.
because his standards aren't
Why
up
he
to my
gotta
standards.
leave?
Because
But why
his
he gotta
standards
leave?
aren't up to my standards.
Okay,
That's
so
why.
then what? Okay,
Simple
so
and
then
plain.
the person. Thank you. We're
Simple and
finally
plain.
here. We
We
took
And
that long
finally
standards
way.
here.
are
Thank
subjective
you. We
because he
finally here.
his standards thought
We're
that was
finally
okay.
here. Thank you. So we're
So that's
finally
why
here.
standards
We're
are
here.
subjective.
Okay, so then that means what you just said.
Your
so then
standards aren't the
means,
same as this
okay,
person's
so that
standards or that
so that
person's standards or
means
this person's
so that
standards.
means
Everybody
so
has
that me-
different standards.
Got you. You're being redundant. So that means that the black man that walks into a corporate office for a corporate job and says X can get the fuck out of there. Because according to you,
It's a
the guy
possibility.
at the barbecue, okay, so according to you, the guy at the barbecue got to get the fuck out of there, right? So that
Yeah,
means
'cause he's
that the
being-
guy hiring,
being disrespectful.
okay, so the guy hiring could think that this motherfucker, although he's been in this country all his life and he's using X at him, is being disrespectful to this fucking first language, and he could get the fuck out of there too. Do you see how that works?
It's a possibility, yes.
Okay,
But it's
because
also a
his
possibility,
standards,
no.
because his standards, right, are such. He thinks that people, if you grew up in this country, you should say the word ask. So he needs to get the fuck up out of there like the guy from your barbecue. We took the long way, but we're here. We understand that everyone has a right
but that
to
still
have a
should be-
fucking
he would still
standard,
be-
and
he
there's
would still
a
be
code.
subjective to that person.
There's a code. I mean, yeah, you can be subjectively ignorant, and you can get the fuck up
Right.
out of there.
Some people could say, you know what? I don't care that he said X.
Yeah, that's not going to happen though.
How do you know?
That's not going to happen in corporate America, but I know you think it should happen for black people.
I've sat in $10 million meetings with fucking do-rag and
Okay.
the fucking fitted on my head.
Look, we all know, Kari,
Standards change. And standards
Kari,
are subjective.
we all know millionaires, all of us.
Right, right.
Okay.
I think I maybe have something in a little bit of a middle here. So
Okay.
I think to every one of us individually, so standards are subjective because you can go to a place and be like, okay, that rule's dumb or that rule doesn't make sense. But to the person in the power structure who owns the place, those standards are objective, right? So you are doing somebody. So if you get into the conversation about standards being too subjective, then you run the risk of telling somebody that there isn't objective standards at all. And then if you're not doing that, then you would be doing them a disservice, right? So
Right.
I don't know if that's specifically the word ask, but if if there's a language,
I agree.
bar
I
or
agree
whatever,
100%.
but yeah.
I just want to put
So
out there that a lot of wait 1 second, Lily. I just want to put out there that a lot of people outside of Black people, like Asians, Indians that I do work with, I wanted to mention this earlier. They take speech classes. They actually have coaches to make sure that they speak better diction when in there in corporate settings. Even fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know what I mean? He had fucking coaches, you know what I mean, to make sure that with that thick ass fucking accent, he can actually be able to be understood and speak standard English, particularly when he was running for office. So it's just not Black people that are victimized and strangled by the throat to follow diction and so on and so forth. You know, we need to really let go of that.
Yeah.
And
Great
the
show
point I
tonight,
was-
guys, by the way. Great show tonight. Thank you, everyone who's participating.
Right. I'm loving everything. So the point I was going to make is I hate that we got stuck on the word ask right? Because that was just one example of many, 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 many examples.
Are you gonna bring up bonnets, Lily? Are you gonna bring up bonnets?
I wasn't going to, but we can go right on ahead, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's so many things. I just remember when the Black community did have clear standards about how we went out in public and how we spoke in certain settings and different things like that. And when we got to the barbecue, we had those standards as well, right? And it just seems to just be a race to the bottom, and not only a race to the bottom, but the part that's most interesting to me, and someone said it in the chat, and I was like, that's exactly like the amount of energy that goes into it. I forgot I think Abby said it, the amount of energy that goes into defending degeneracy, defending low or no standards. It's so fucking amazing. Anytime we have a conversation that is dealing with standards, there is always so much energy defending it. When it comes only to the Black community, it is, and whether it's coming from white people, whether it's coming from Black people, and then we wonder why we are not, we are devolving. You know, it's insane. I don't know.
Okay,
It's just
and
really interesting to watch.
I need to basically address something right here. Yes, oh my Vegatron. Yes, I'm a software developer. Yes, we be cussing in the whole 9 yards and so on and so forth. But we are software developers. We're the nerds in the fucking back. Half the time, no one really cares what we're wearing. Okay, we're not in client-facing situations. Now, when I moved over to a managerial role, when I moved over into a leadership role, then I had to make some changes. And I made these changes specifically because I knew I was going to be in a persuasive position. So one of the things about persuasion, one of the main things that you do have to concentrate on when you're in persuasive positions is presentation. So yeah, when I was just a basic coder, so on and so forth, I had the hoodie on, Tim's on, doing my thing in the back. When it was time to escalate, I took the fucking shit off, put a collared shirt on, so on and so forth, some slacks, and wanted to go make something, make something shake. The standard changed because the setting changed.
No Saint, do you want to jump in here and let the Black folks know that? Let the Black folks know that there ain't nothing wrong with acts, and they can say acts and wear their bonnets and robes to the airport. You want to let them know, give them the green light.
No, this is. I found it interesting that just like in life, we see a bunch of people of color fighting and we step back.
Well, don't step back now. You said that they could say acts. Don't step back now. Keep that same energy. Axe is okay. The bonnets are okay.
Listen, I think first of all, listen. There's been a lot said, and I think some of these things are straw man. I didn't say that in a business setting you shouldn't speak what they're expected for you to say. In other words, there's a certain English that you're taught in the universities, and there's a certain way you write. If you're in literature, you have to write a certain way. I get all that. I'm simply saying that if someone says axe, there's a lot of different dialects out there, and being down in the South, there's a lot of people down here that sound, especially where George lives, that sound stupid as fuck. All right. So, I mean, but are they? Not necessarily. They're not stupid. They just sound different, and they don't use the American standard English. What's Neve? Is that your name?
Yeah, that's my name.
Man, I like you on the panel. I was like, let a Canadian come here and throw some smooth stuff. That's cool. But listen, I'm not going to get pigeonholed. I've said for a long time here that I'm left of center. If you say I'm far left, I'm not going and burning down, setting things on fire, rioting, or anything like that. I have common sense, so I think I'm left of center. But some people don't think that, and that's fine.
So
but I want to let some of the new people go, because I'm on here all the time.
No, I don't think you're extreme. I don't think you're going to burn anything down. You just, because you're not a violent, confrontational person, but I think you have the same exact talking points. Like the same exact
let me say something. And now I remember something I wanted to say. So Haran, this was way long ago, but that's fine. We got a lot of new people on here. And he was talking about how he used the 98% figure, liberals and coddling. I don't think, and George is of course certifying it. And he would, because I think that people that are considered like me try to take a look at all angles and not make it a black and white thing, saying there's a lot of grays in there. So when I say that, yeah, there are some people that are born in poverty, and that dictates sometimes, not everybody, some people can get out, but a lot more people can't get out. And we have to take a look at it. It's not coddling. I'm simply saying it's not just because you made it out and and Jen, you had a great father, doesn't mean everybody had that great father. And so people are going to fall through the cracks. Now, if that makes me coddle, I don't think it is at all. But I'm not this one person that says, I did it. I made it out of this. So can you. I'm not that guy. And I will go against that guy all the time.
Okay, so really, wait, hold on. Before you respond, we have sometimes we have to like look at ourselves. We have 2 people in the chat, women, and women have vision. Abby says to No Saint, don't feed it with your lack of privilege and guilt. That's for you, No Saint. And Moxie says, don't be bringing that Pollyanna participation trophy mentality up in here, No Saint. So you have to understand, this is what we see, though we say you're not liberal. And here's the thing, you're talking to people who come from the ghetto, from the disenfranchised, from people of color that don't get the opportunities, from people who experience racism and prejudice and bias and all that shit and blocks and roadblocks. You're speaking to those people. So when we're telling you that it's not about I had a great father, Haran had a great father, Lily had a great father, right? We see this, we live it, we are it, right? So when we're telling you there are a lot of people that are willfully ignorant and fuck up the populace of our demographic, okay? There were certain people that my father could not rent apartments to when he owned buildings in New York City, and no one, especially a white man, was going to tell my father, well, hey, they grew up disenfranchised. Let them move in the building and graffiti the elevator and break the glass because Mr. Fernando Garcia, these people that no one was going to fix their face to say that shit to my father. So you have to understand that separation is key for our survival. And that means separation from racist white people. And that also means separations from the fucking degenerates in our own communities. And that's the issue I have with you, No Saint, that you think that we should all kumbaya because of poverty and disenfranchisement. No, for our survival, we must separate. It is imperative. And what I feel about the liberal mind is, no, everybody should be, we should all love each other. And that's bullshit. It's bullshit to me. But I'll pass the mic.
I'm gonna give you a story real quick, man. This is a really quick story. Years ago, it's like maybe 2003. Kids just came out of college. Music business was in the shitter. 9/11 just happened, so on and so forth. I was having a hard time finding a job. I eventually found some shit that was like $7 an hour. I was fucked up. And I said to myself one night, I had a real moment of darkness. And I said, yo, I'm done out here. It's over. I'm done. This is it. And I called my mother and I told her, I was like, I feel like it's over. I feel like that's it for me. And you know what she told me? Then it's it for you. She didn't coddle me and say, come by and we'll talk. No, she was like, no, if you feel this is it for you, then it's it for you. You made the decision, you figure it out. Then she hung up the fucking phone. So here I am, it's fucking raining, it's pouring. I'm thinking about, oh shit, man. What the fuck is next? And then you know what hit me? I took fucking coding classes in college. And I saw where the internet was going. And I said, if I could catch this wave, I didn't think social media was going to be this big. This is way in the beginning. This is when Black Planet was popping. I said, if I catch this wave, I think I'm going to be all right. And I doubled down, taught myself what I needed to do, bought whatever I needed to buy, and I jumped on the wave. And I've been okay ever since, 20 years later. If I look for that coddling shit, and then, oh, it's not your fault, and blah, blah, blah. And if I didn't just deal with the fact that I had everything, I had to, create a situation with my own fucking 2 hands, I wouldn't be here right now, man. I'd probably still be fucked up.
It's almost like it's almost like it's the norm to treat people of color, Black people specifically, like they're handicapped. It's almost the norm. It's like someone in a wheelchair, and it's like who's very self-sufficient, right? But then it's like, what do they hate the most? When you walk up to their wheelchair and push their wheelchair like they need help, and they're like, did I fucking ask you for the help? But it seems to be the norm, and it's to the detriment. It is to the detriment of the fucking culture to constantly get treated like they're these little, you grew up poor. And people don't understand how damaging that is. And they don't do it to white people. Why don't white people go to the and this is how I'm gonna call cap, okay? Why don't white people go to the fucking meth trailer parks? Why don't you go to the white meth trailer parks and you grew up poor? It's okay that you can't speak proper English and you smoke meth all the time. Why don't white people, the liberals, why aren't you down at the trailer park helping white people? Why is it always this huge violin for Black people? Why is this always? Why aren't you at the trailer park? Like, no, it's not your fault. You grew up poor, Billy Bob.
No, because there's a few things I want to talk about. Because historically, white people have had the advantages in this country. So I'm not going to feel as much sorry for people. Now, what I want to say is this. If you look at the population of the white people, of other ethnicities and race, you're saying that the majority of poverty are in the Black community. And so all I'm saying is this. I'm not saying poor people, let's call it. I'm saying, listen, I'm against the people that are clueless, that think everything is same. And, Donald Trump's son made it to be a millionaire because he started off where I was. No, he made it a millionaire because he started off as a millionaire's son. And that's all I'm saying. I'm trying to point out that there are reasons that there's the majority of poverty is in certain populations, and other ethnicities have an advantage. That's all I'm saying.
So, but listen to what you said. But you use the words "feel sorry for."
What did I say?
You're speaking about Black people like they are handicapped. I feel sorry for if children all together in a classroom, Asian, white, Black, Latin, and they're all learning the exact same curriculum, you feel sorry for the Black child. It is to their detriment that you treat them like handicapped people. Do you not understand that? I'm listening.
You're not listening. Sorry. I'm pointing out reasons. I'm saying there are reasons, and to ignore reasons.
I'm telling you that is to their detriment. You're talking like they're
okay.
Black
We can
people.
You're
talking. Listen, you're talking like there aren't Black billionaires in this country and in other countries. You're talking about you're talking about Black people like they're a collective of fucking handicapped people. Okay, there are Black people in this country that started with nothing, like you said, okay, and became billionaires and millionaires. Yet you still see Black people like they're handicapped, and I'm telling you, that is to their detriment. Goes back to Haran's story. Oh well, you can't do it, and I don't understand why that's not computing. You do nothing for Black people by feeling sorry for nothing.
Absolutely.
And I think it's very convenient because you don't go feel sorry for the white meth heads. Why aren't the liberals over there? They also grew up disenfranchised. They also grew up poor. But it feels better to feel sorry for Black people. I find that interesting.
And as
we're going to just ignore the part where I said that, there were built-in advantages, and I'm not saying to coddle. I'm just saying don't ignore the education systems in the cities. Don't ignore those things.
We're not ignoring that. We're not ignoring that.
I'm sorry. I remember back in my day when I was in school, there were Indian students there. There were African students there, okay? They came from disenfranchised backgrounds. They were all in the same class. And them Indian kids and them African kids and the Mexicans were doing the damn fucking thing in that class. Doing the damn thing in a place that wasn't even their country.
Because of standards in your household.
But the Black people, you got to feel sorry for them.
Talking about
they call them
immigrant kids.
immigrant kids.
Yeah,
Immigrant
you know,
kids.
Chupa. What's her name? The Chupa girl, the Miss World.
Mhm.
Remember? Yeah, she said when she got here, she was acing this because when they start off over in their country, the education is so much further advanced.
That's bullshit. That's
what she said. I'm not saying that.
What? Okay, so she. Oh my, he's. This is crazy.
I'll give you the interview where she said that.
I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about her. I'm telling you my experience. Elementary school. So you're telling me that an elementary school student, okay, had such high standards of schooling in their country, they immigrated to America, and all of a sudden they are scholars sitting there. It's not that they fucking worked hard. It's not that their parents had. It's not that their parents had standards. It's not that their parents had standards.
But you are taking the best of the best. You are taking the best of the best.
What are you
out
talking
of their
about?
country.
I said India. What
Out
are you
of their
talking about?
country. Out of their country.
They were in
The
a
best of the
Bronx
best.
school. How are they the best of the best? They were in a Bronx school eating the same garbage that we were eating. What are you talking about?
No,
So
I'm saying they were the.
now you're saying that the immigrant students that I went to school with in the fucking South Bronx were scholars in India. They were scholars in Mexico. They were scholars in Asia, and they came here and they were scholars. Like, are you insane?
Half the cab drivers in Mexico were doctors in the country they came from.
Okay, you're trolling now. That's great.
Right. At this point,
you're
you going
trolling.
down that hill.
That's what I heard.
He's trolling at this
Yeah,
point. He's
he going
trolling.
down that
And I
hill.
get he's trolling. That's fine.
And
That's
like,
fine.
you know, oh no, it's okay. You know what? I kind of understand No Saint a little bit because it's like he can't really be honest because being honest wouldn't be acceptable in the society that we're living in right now.
Yeah.
So I get it.
I think George, he answered that question. George Cook says, what about immigrants from Asian countries that didn't know the language or the culture but are kicking ass right now? Well, George, according to No Saint, they were doctors.
Let me say what I'm going to say to that.
Those children were doctors before they came to the Bronx.
Immigrants.
They were rocket scientists and brain surgeons.
Let me enlighten you, George. The immigrants that come from other countries will outwork an educated person in this country because they come from a place that has nothing and the competition is fierce.
So No Saint, you're saying right now, the educational standards outside of America are a lot higher than the educational standards here?
Some are, but I'm saying no. Some are, but no. I don't. I would have to look at the world statistics. But what I'm saying, depending on what country. But what I'm going to say is their work ethic is a lot better. So of course they're going to come here and kick everybody's ass here because that's what happens in most countries that are successful.
Better standards.
They have fiercer competition. They have fiercer
and better
competition.
work ethics with this better standards. Correct.
If you want to call it that, they come from a place that if they don't work their ass off, they're going to be starving to death.
Don't nobody say.
So is that why? So
in some countries, I don't want to say all countries, but some.
Okay,
countries.
all right. So then the black people here don't have to work hard. You're saying?
I don't know. I don't think I said that.
No, I'm saying, well, they don't have to work hard as long as they have the liberals caping for them. They can say acts and all kinds of shit because the liberals are going to cape, but the liberals are going to give them the excuse of, you guys are black. You don't have to speak proper English. Here's the thing, be very careful. And I know we have to close. And again, everybody was badass on tonight's panel. I'm very proud of this panel. This was really, really dope. Everybody who participated, the chat as well. It's a great conversation. We could continue it on another day. I really do truly, madly, deeply appreciate all of you. But I do want to say this before we go out. And if anyone has any final thoughts, those are great too. I do want to say, be very, very wary and careful of anyone, okay, that knows that you're fucked up in any kind of way or deficient in any kind of way and pats you on the back. Be very, very careful, especially when they're white, because white people already have an advantage. So when a white person is coddling you and letting you think that it's okay to be less than them, be very, very careful. Do the fucking opposite. Okay, do the fucking opposite. Anyone who doesn't want you to have standards is your fucking enemy. Now, they may not be a blatant enemy and stab you in the back, but they are enemies to your fucking life. Make sure that you have standards. It is not a code switch. Make sure that your children have standards. Don't fall for the bullshit. Do not fall for the bullshit, because it will carry with you. If you get pulled over by a cop, if you're trying to get a job, if you're trying to get in a relationship, you will carry that shit with you. Do not listen to these people that X is okay if you're black. Do not do it. Do not do it. Have your fucking standards. And I'll pass the mic. Unless everybody's done.
My last words will be always know that everything is negotiable as long as you have leverage. And the worst defeat is self-defeat.
Okay.
I wanted to say, okay, so I think we can all agree. So yes, we can all agree that there's standards, and there are high standards, and then there's like the minimum standard or like the minimum expectation. When you are identifying like language as an issue, like something like we've been talking about acts, there's different things that you could attribute to this, like grammar, using the wrong words in wrong places. Are we so by encouraging, by stressing that, Black people or whoever, most specifically Black people here, use, ask instead of acts, are we criticizing that? Are we criticizing them for not meeting the high standard or the minimum standard? And I think, I don't know if I really communicated this point very well, but I think that from maybe like an HR perspective, because HR seems to be the one that would be directly responsible for maybe creating a work environment that isn't challenging, or not challenging, but maybe creating different standards within a workplace for whatever reasons. But I'm wondering how they could safely criticize somebody, and if so, are they criticizing them for not meeting, like which standard are they being criticized for not meeting? I don't know.
I would say, if I had to answer, I would say minimum standard. That's the proper English to me is the minimum standard. Now, of course, there are people that are stellar and they're scholars. That's a higher standard. But I think pronouncing ask is really a minimum standard. It's a 3-letter word with an S in the middle.
Fair enough. And I think that people who are, in higher levels of education, who working like corporate fields, have a tendency to use words properly and pronounce words properly. But yeah, I don't know. I've been hearing like a little bit, it seemed a little black and white, like no pun intended, but there seemed to be like a dichotomy in the way we've been speaking about it. And so I guess I'm just trying to identify if there's like really a middle ground in how we, and maybe like a reason why the coddling happens, I guess.
Okay, so I want to answer that.
Okay, cool.
For me, this wasn't about one word. That one
Absolutely,
word was one micro mini example of a larger picture. The larger picture is the lack of standards in our community and the people who defend it, and how we're not progressing because of those two things, right?
What we've established as the minimum.
What's that?
So what we have established as a minimum standard is problematic because we're excusing behavior, or we're not pushing
all
people
kinds
to
of
move.
behaviors.
Okay.
From using a 3-letter word to twerking at the slave ship historic site, to a slew of every single mainstream female rapper promotes degeneracy and stripper culture and whole culture, and every male rapper is threatening our lives, right?
Okay.
That has become the standard, and we wonder, why are people looking at us crazy? Huh?
Yeah.
I don't know why.
And just so we're clear that it's not a code switch, there's a gentleman who I adore. His name is attorney Kevin Kelly, and he owns a bunch of restaurants and stuff. And he went viral because his restaurant is called Kitchen and Cocktails, and they're opening up everywhere. And there were women at the restaurant twerking, and he went viral because he came out from the back and threw them out. And there was a big scene, and of course somebody was recording it. Now, Black people tried to boycott his restaurant because they were insisting that he was being too bougie and those black women should be allowed to twerk on his furniture. So it's not about a code switch at all. He's not a white man. He is black. Okay. Black family raising black children. Right. So it's not about a code switch. It's about why is the degeneracy in our communities defended the way it is.
Are standards being misunderstood as like considerations, or would you say those are the same things? Because I think that, like, sorry, go for it.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like, you know, if because I do know a lot of like progressive left people. I'm more moderate myself, but do you like I could basically foresee an argument which would ultimately lead to your idea of coddling, where somebody on the left might say, like, well, we're making considerations. Like, how would you maybe combat that idea, or maybe give them another perspective to kind of consider? I feel like that's maybe like born of a fear that they are being discriminatory by not taking into consideration, you know, different factors. So I guess, yeah, that's like a bit of a catch for me. I'm not sure what that answer is. So
yeah, I think if we're just using the example of the restaurant, let's say, because I'm trying to understand what you're asking, but if we're using, let's say,
sorry, I didn't focus that well enough, but so you're not wrong in the, yeah, sorry.
I understand what you said.
Yeah, so like using that example, I'm like, is he discriminating, or does he have standards for his restaurant?
I don't think that's what he was going.
I don't know.
I'll just say
to be honest, if you don't know, it's okay. I don't know.
I think I understand what you were saying. I do. Real quick, I want to know, is that your page at NE? I don't know how you pronounce it. NEVE.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Cool. You do
I just want to
videos?
talk about the elephant in the room, real quick.
Yeah, Haran, then you answer, because maybe I misunderstood, and that's okay.
I just want to talk about the elephant in the room and what all this stuff stems from. There's a lot of trauma connected to racism. There's a lot of trauma connected to the past and what has happened. And unfortunately, things such as intellectualism, standards, class, so on and so forth, a lot of these things are, in the minds of many Black people, they are synonymous with white culture. This is one of the reasons why anti-intellectualism is such a powerful force within the community, because intellectualism, academic, advancement, and so on and so forth, these things, again, are seen as something that is synonymous with white culture, even Asian culture, but not Black culture. A lot of us don't think that we're actually smart enough, or as smart as a number of other races. So a lot of times what happens is that we cling to the defense mechanism is that, well, this is just the way I talk. This is the way that we're going to do things. This is the way that blah, 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 so on and so forth, as a fuck you to the people that so-called oppressed you in some sort of manner. But in a way, you're just really cutting your, slicing your nose to spite your fucking face. You're not hurting them. You're not hurting them by our children having an illiteracy rate up towards the 80s. You're not hurting them. You're not hurting anyone by education not being at the center stage of the community. And I'll end my, my perspective on that for the night.
I love this comment. Abby says, do you need a no twerking sign like no shoes, no shirts whites did against their low class? It's funny because, again, here we have white people who had standards, right? White people have standards, no shoes, no shirt. But when Black people have standards, white people are telling them, no, you can't have standards. They're disenfranchised. But white people are very clear on what their standards are. So again, there's a lot of irony here. But I know we can't be here all night. Izzy, hi. Are you good, or do you have any parting words?
My parting words is, you're right. White people back in the day totally had standards. It was no shirt, no shoes, no niggas, no dogs, no Mexicans, no Latinos, and no Asians. You're right. You're right. Their standards are wrong. Their standards are right. Our standards are wrong. You're totally right. Great show off.
Exhibit A always shows up. Thanks for proving Haran's point. 'Cause that was literally what Haran just said.
That is what Haran just said.
Like verbatim.
That's what Haran just said. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. They had no shirt, no shoes, no entry, none of that. Exactly. You're
We
right.
caught it.
They
We
all
got
had
it. We
standards.
got it. We got it.
Okay.
You have yourself
Well,
a great night,
thank-
brother. Great to see you.
Thank you. We are going to close. No Saint, you have anything else left to say? I feel like remember Lucy Liu when she chopped off that guy's head in the movie? She was like, "Does anyone else have anything else to say?"
Listen, I see. I'm gonna have to. Some of the people in the chat, I'm gonna have to keep an eye on. I see some really Moxie. I'm looking at you, Moxie.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
Yeah, because
I like Moxie.
listen, because the coloreds usually agree with No Saints. That's why. So when they don't agree,
No. Listen, a lot of things were said in here. I think some things were off base. I mean, I stand by what I said. I'm not making excuses for anybody. Obviously,
a lot of shit was off base tonight. A lot.
I understood what Neve was saying, but I don't want to try to re-explain it because it is a little bit difficult. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, basically was saying like, it is hard to explain. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to explain it better than that. Part
on
3.
the block with Jen, part 2, because we veered into another thing.
Exactly.
Block, fall back for a second. Thank you so much, everyone who supports the show with the super chats and the Venmo. Izzy, hi, Neve. Thank you for coming up and giving us a different perspective. You are welcome here anytime. Mikasa sukasa. And we will see you guys tomorrow. I don't know what the subject is going to be. I think we all need a break. But we will be back tomorrow. So please come back again. We would love to have you. Chat, thank you for holding us down. The chat was on fire as well tonight. All right, guys. So good night. We will see you mañana.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
YouTube Fresh head out. He head out until the last second. He said, I ain't fucking with them niggas tonight. He head out to the last second. He's like, bye, y'all. Like, I've been here, but I ain't say shit. Bye, y'all.
Hold on. Let me and good night, guys.